Constructive Talks, and
Right.
yeah, Constructive Talks
I
LRW.
Well,
You hadn't
look
went
at
there
you.
yet?
Well, I've actually listened to you. I didn't realize it was constructive talk, so I
LRW,
like
yeah.
that.
I'm gonna
I
send it
like
to
that. It's
you.
like a work in progress,
Yeah,
right?
at least I got like 150 videos on there.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, I'll send you a link. Yeah, it's some
Okay.
good stuff too.
Okay.
And I'm gonna share it with the kids because I talk about other people's stuff. I talk about what are you gonna do when you're old and gray.
Ooh.
Investment minds. I talk about a lot of good stuff
Okay.
on there. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I'll share it.
Constructive talks. You always have the best titles.
Well, I don't know.
Thought
It's that
provoking.
voice.
It's thought provoking.
It's that voice that we talk about, that universal intelligence voice. It just says, hey, this makes sense.
That is amazing because we have it. We all have it, but only some act upon it. Okay.
No, and you know what? I know we came out here to talk about some stuff, but you do have. you said something this morning about that spiritual voice. Man, Gwen, I tell you that a lot of things can be dismissed and not really given the true meaning of what it was created to do. Right? Let's say this. Let's say, I'm not listening to my spiritual voice. I'm listening to the noise.
Yes.
And I'm allowing the noise, the nuggets, I'm going to call it nuggets in the noise, which is for my selfish benefit to drive me. Right? So that spiritual voice, man, and I call it universal intelligence, spiritual voice, because the creator of the universe gave it to us.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. That's when the noise you have to figure out how to get rid of. That's why it's so important that we have silence and solitude. That basically means that you've got to still yourself. You've got to get in a quiet place. You've got to be good with connecting with your spirit person. Because within that really does lie your true destiny if you're able to step into it. And if you're not hearing it and allowing it to guide you, you're going to miss it.
100% of the time.
And we don't want to miss it.
That's right. We don't want to miss it.
There's an old gospel that says, 100, I'm running this race, right?
Oh, wow.
But 99 and a half won't do.
Correct.
100. And being able to connect with your physical is great because we are a spirit that dwells and lives on forever, that's created by God, that has a soul, being our thinker, our feeler, our will, that dwells within a body that's just here on earth. That spirit is truly the essence of who we are and will always be. And if we can connect to it, because when we think about it, as we dwell here on earth, we don't understand what will happen in the next moment, let alone next hour, next day, next
Correct.
week. But with the spirit, because we have the spirit of discernment that is within us, and when we tap into and we still our physical, we still our motion, and we get into that place of actually hearing, and not just hearing with the naked ear, but hearing with the heart, and then acting upon that which we have received. That's how we dwell in greatness, Steve.
And you say the spiritual, man. So everybody needs to understand this. This is what I think, right? We are alone more than we are around people. And guess what? Now, I don't know about you, but a lot of times we talk to ourselves more than we talk to other people, if not verbally to ourselves, mentally.
Absolutely. I call it ministering to ourselves because just like David did, David had to minister to himself through his trials, through his adversities, even through those things that he actually brought upon or allowed himself to get into. He had to minister to himself.
Correct.
Because to your point, we are with ourselves way more than we are with others.
Correct.
So we are the true influencers.
Ooh, that's right. 100%.
Of us.
100%. You are. Man, so just think if you influence yourself with crap.
Don't do that. We better not do that.
Because we want to keep. Okay, so let's. You see how I always say, hey, you get around folks that are not only smarter than you, but challenge you to be better than you are. about and by having constructive conversations, man. Because we can talk about other people's stuff, but you know what?
Ooh.
Our stuff is way more important every time,
Yes.
right? So, okay, as you can see, when you're around constructive folks, you get off topic, but good in a good way, right? Okay, so the question I've been asking everybody. Well, let's go to this. We're here at the retreat for the youth, doing some good mentorship. They're teaching us how to be young minded, right? Those are challenges, right? Like, oh God, kids still do that? Yes, we do. And some of the things that is very important is, and I've been asking folks, is that scale, right? And I call it, on one side of the scale, you have ignorance, which is just not knowing, right? We're not going to make ignorance a bad word. It's just not knowing about a particular thing. And the other side of the scale, you have intelligence, right? And we always want to make that intelligence side of the scale heavier than the ignorant side. And some of the ways we do that, which we're going to tap into her mind, because you've been hearing me all day, all week, and what are some ways that we can communicate through the generations? So I say the generation before us, we call them old folks, right? They're the old folks, and then us, and then the younger folks calling us old folks, right? So it has to be a common voice to get somebody to sit down and listen to you, even to be able to touch their spirit, because we are responsible for helping people's spirit when we know better,
right.
And know the right. Like, hey, let's help their spirit so when they're talking to themselves at night, they can hear our voice a little bit too, to help them face the right direction a little bit, right?
Yes.
So what are some things or some methods or considerations we should take to communicate through the generations to help that side of intelligence kind of get heavier than that side of ignorance, to want them to be inspired to grow?
Well, you know what? I love that perspective. Ignorance versus intelligence. And I would like to add something else to that. I would like to add, within that is wisdom.
Correct.
Because as you have the intelligence, having the intelligence doesn't serve you well if you do not know how to utilize
100%.
the intelligence. And the way I do believe that we tap into our younger, I say our younger selves, because we were back there at one point where we didn't necessarily have the intelligence, or better yet, the wisdom.
Correct.
Because as we operate, it is a continual motion of operating inside of that wisdom. It is, for me, listening, caring, hearing our young adults, because they are faced with so many things that perhaps we may not have been faced with. So I need to be able to hear them not only with my ear gate, I need to be able to hear them from my heart. And when you bring them to a place of calm, and when you bring them to a place of helping them to know that I care, and I show that I care by hearing their concerns. And then, because their visions, their dreams, their aspirations, they matter.
100%.
And staying in a perspective of humbleness as an elder, that young people can bring so much insight to us, because we are a total sum of our experiences.
Correct.
And our experiences very well may be different, right? And it is keeping them rooted and grounded in building their character. And when I say building their character, and when they're faced with anything, helping them understand your character is built by your tests that you experience. So if you go through tests, trials, and tribulations, it's how do you get through them?
Correct.
So as a as a mentor, I want to hear from my mentees, and then I want to help them when they're at the crossroads, and to make good choices, and to see and understand that many times the way that we think as natural man, it isn't the right method. And studying and understanding the method, for me, the way that God has instructed us and understanding it, I will bring my children back to that place of calm and help them understand what ultimately do you want to produce as a result of whatever it is or whatever place that you in. I want to help them get to the end. Because if I can get them to see the end, their desire end, what is your desire end? What do you ultimately want to happen as a result of that?
Mm-hmm.
Then how do we get to that point? And then basically just through questioning, open-ended questions, I'm able to get them driven to a place where in 10 years, as you look back in this moment, would you be proud of the actions that you've actually taken?
Correct. Correct. You know, you said something pretty cool, right? So that's what we do. We evolve. So we take ignorance, evolve it to intelligence, and then if you use intelligence in a constructive manner, it should equate to wisdom,
That right there.
right? So if you use it enough, it should be you're wise.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what now? Hold on. You can be wise at any age,
Absolutely.
right? And
Absolutely.
100%, right?
Oh my goodness,
So-
for sure.
So what Gwen is saying is that open your mind. Another thing she's mentioned, I'm just going to play off of it, is open your mind in a manner where you're not stuck in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And as you grow and research and have those constructive conversations with folks, use it in a manner that it empowers
Yes.
them.
Yes.
You know,
Yes,
you know what?
yes,
I'm
yes.
gonna listen.
I like
I'm
that.
gonna say something that we said a while back,
What was that?
right? We are recycling hope.
We did.
Right? You remember
did
that?
I
Yeah.
do. I remember going, oh, I love that. I love that. Recycling hope.
And I hadn't said it since.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what we're doing.
Yes.
So the youth, when first let me do this now. So Gwen, she's the co-founder of the Stewart Foundation. Been doing this for a minute, like reaching out. I'm talking a couple decades or so. You know, getting in there and making sure that the community has hope, that somebody with wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
growing wisdom, because it has to evolve.
It does. It
right?
absolutely should evolve.
Yeah. Reaches back and give them a little hope to say somebody cares for me without my request.
For sure.
Because I don't know how to ask.
Exactly. Exactly. That right there. Yes, that right there. And you shouldn't have to, because if you're operating in discernment and you have been gifted, you should share those gifts
Yeah, without request.
without request. Absolutely.
Right there.
Exactly.
So it's both ways. So think about what we're talking about. So what do you think I would ask you this, give a good call to action to the audience.
Whatever gifts you've been given, make sure that you utilize as you have received that free gift, then give it back, pay it forward. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, pay it forward. Make a difference in someone else's life today, not tomorrow, today. Today is the difference maker. And I promise you, you can give a heart so much joy by just giving to someone and not expecting anything back, not expecting any accolades, right? Because your treasures are stored up in heaven truly when you give to someone looking for nothing from them, but to share true love from your heart. Give it, and then you know what? A lot of times, give it anonymously, right? Bless someone anonymously. Don't tell anybody about it. Just let it be between you and God. And I promise you, you'll see so many things manifest in your life. But make that a daily habit.
There you go. Hey, slow down a little bit. Pay attention to your surroundings. And I guarantee you, like Gwen said, it's going to speak to you and say, hey, here's an opportunity.
Yes. That right there. Yes.
And that's that spiritual voice within you saying, make a difference. You got it. You can do it. I'm rooting for you. So what we'll do, we talked about the scale, right? So guess what? We added something to it. Ignorance, just not knowing. Mm-hmm. Intelligence, you know a little bit. And if you apply it constructively, wisdom. So thank you for tuning in to Constructive Talks. I appreciate it. Hey, the Stewart Foundation information is going to be in the description below. And you can reach out to Gwen if you want to give back. And say, hey, Gwen, here's a little something. Thank you. Bye. Perfect. Why? Because it's going to reach somebody. So thank you for tuning in. We love you.
Until next time, take care.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to Constructive Talks. Man, you know, I tell you what. Wow. The Stewart Foundation Youth Council, like I said before, they got all these titles, man. These amazing folks maintaining the standard. We've talked to the VP that does all the work from what he says. We talked to the president, and he said, hey, he make things happen, and everybody better do what I say. But guess what? We got the one and only. She's going to let you know what she does, and she's going to just, all you. Okay, so tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Hello, I'm Nina Craig. I'm the Stewart Foundation's Communications Chair. My role is to go over the social media engagement and making sure people get information on the coming events and just keeping y'all engaged with us and making sure that y'all follow along with the Stewart Foundation Youth Cabinet along our 2023 to 2024 journey.
What grade are you in?
I am a rising junior.
Junior. Hey, you can lead and you can be part of something no matter what age you are if you choose to do so, right? Or if you have those folks around you that kind of search out things for you to be involved with. So give them an opportunity. Okay, so what we've been talking about is the scale. Okay, one side of the scale, the plate has ignorance, which is just not knowing, right? Unaware. And the other side has intelligence, right? And what we're talking about is how do we get multiple generations, like the generation before me, old. I look at them as old. And then the generation before my mom, they're super old and they're dying out, right? And the youth, right? Like the generation after me, and then you, that's you. So how do we do a cross communication to get folks, they might be stuck in their ways, no matter what generation they're in, to communicate more and get that unknowing scale lighter than the intelligence scale where we get it to be heavy, right? So what are some ways you think that we can break through things to get that, to get on that more intelligent side, researching things?
Just all aspects of
It doesn't
all
matter.
age ranges?
All age ranges. Because see, you as a council member and definitely have, being a communication, it's critical that your messaging reaches people. And now you can say, yeah, the youth, but if you don't inspire the adults to feed into the youth, you fail.
Yeah.
So they got to understand you too, right? So what are some ways that we can get folks to kind of lean towards that intelligence side of the scale more?
That is a great question. I think to get through ignorance, you need intelligence, of course. And I think the biggest thing is just knowing. If you don't know, then you won't do. So I feel like that definitely plays into my role of getting the stuff out there, making sure people know what's going on. What?
Good question, huh?
Yes, that is a good question. Yeah, I think if you don't know, you don't know. So, yeah, I guess when it comes to like adults, of course, like it's harder to get to the old folks and the people over you and
from your perspective.
Yeah, from
See,
our perspective,
we go.
From the youth, I guess. But it's easier for your own children to get to you instead of other people's.
I like this inquisitive. It's inquisitive, right?
Yeah, so I think people's grandchildren and nieces and nephews definitely have a lot to do with what they know and their level of ignorance. Because, I mean, y'all talk to y'all aunties and uncles, and y'all know some of the stuff they be saying do not be right. So I think it's, like you said, I think it's up to us, because if we don't, then we fail.
So let me ask you this question, just to help you get it out your head a little more. So if you want me to understand, let me see, don't use the home phone because the mobile phone is better. What are some ways you would convince me that getting a mobile phone is better than me using my house phone? From your perspective, because you got a mobile phone, you got a cell phone, and I'm still, hey, I got to get home and make the call.
I know. I would tell you how convenient having a phone on you is.
Okay.
Show you the gadgets on the phone that make it worth it.
Are you willing to have the patience to teach me? Yes.
But I also think more so like people you're related to, you would have the patience with. Like I would be more patient with my grandmother than you, So
why is that?
Because she's mine.
Okay.
Like your people, you worry about your people more than others. And I mean, we probably shouldn't, but like ours is ours.
And that's your process right now. And that's the point we talk about, the ignorant side of the scale, not knowing, and that intelligent side. Because think about it. When talking to your grandmother, you had to be able to communicate with all the grandmothers. right? Because everybody's grandmother has some commonalities, right? So think about that. So think about like you're saying now. I totally agree with you that hey, I got to tell you, I got to show you the benefits. I got to sit down and be. You think patience is a big thing?
Yeah,
Why?
patient with you because most ignorant people have a fixed mindset and they're not open to think. So of course you have to be patient with the ignorant and give them a chance.
How deep is your patience? How strong is it? How, you know?
I'm sure the vice president and the president's patience are much better than mine. I don't have great patience.
Okay.
But I'm willing to work on it to help. Yeah.
Well, that's that intelligence part. You know, say, hey.
Yeah, I know I need the patience.
Correct.
And I know I don't have it, so I work to get it.
Yeah, so, and you're answering the question. And one of the things is knowing, say, man, I need more patience to be able to communicate this out. I need more patience to be able to help a generation understand how we communicate, you know, back and forth. So let me ask you this right here. Man, so did you ever think that you would be a board member on the youth council?
No.
So what did you do to get that position? You didn't pay people, did you?
No.
You didn't give out candy? You know?
No. Why did I get that position? You want the actual answer?
This is real. This is Constructive Talks.
Okay. I went to a meeting. It was my first Stewart Foundation meeting, actually.
Okay.
Went to the first Stewart Foundation meeting. It was the election. And they saw me and picked me out. And then I got 6 out of 7 votes for me, and now communications.
There you go. And see, that's perfect because people see things in us that we don't see. So they saw something in talking to you, the way you carried yourself. That man, you know, she could be an inspiration. So let's bless her with responsibility, and then teach her how to be responsible.
Yeah.
See, that's where we're going to the scale, the ignorance, because you didn't know.
No.
But now look at you. That intelligence. You see? You see how it goes?
Yes.
Right? So, and that's the process where it might just be the smallest thing or the major things where we can make that difference in the ignorance weight, in the intelligence weight by what? Having that patience to teach.
Yeah.
Because people had to teach, mentor, and guide you. And guess what? When you get it, you got to give it.
Yeah.
So I understand that. So, okay, everybody. Hey, we're going with this this council, the youth council. They're amazing, intelligent. Oh man, wow! And we all know that we all have ignorance on things, but you know, I would tell you that to know that there are children and youth that are willing to, and I don't like to use the word sacrifice, but I'll use it in this manner: sacrifice hanging out with friends to come support something that they can see that's going to be beneficial to them. It's like having that aha moment. If I put time in this, aha, I can be this. So is there anything you want to say to everybody before we close, please?
No.
You got a quote. Make your quote up now to tell the world it's just your quote.
Give a quote.
Talk to the folks.
Let's see. I don't even have a quote. Let's see. Always have grace for yourself and others.
Hold up, say it again.
Always have grace for yourself and others.
Always have.
No matter what, you don't know what nobody's going through. Nobody truly knows what you're going through. So always have grace for others and yourself.
Always have grace for yourself and others. That's important. Why? Because it teaches you patience and being humble to listen because it's not about you, right? It's about others. So thank you for tuning in to Constructive Talks. Hey, the information is in the description below. We look forward to hanging out, and we got more interviews to go. Thank you. Man, hey, welcome back to Constructive Talks. These interviews are popping. Everybody wants to be part of it and share their experience with their life. And we're talking about, like I said before, we're talking about that scale. One side of the scale, the plate has ignorance on it, which is just not knowing. And the other side of the plate has intelligence on it, which is just being open-minded to learn and grow and research, right? And to understand that we have to evolve as a person, as a community, as a collective at some point. So, man, you know, he was hard to track down. He's flying drones. He's low crawling, swimming across the lake. So tell everybody a little bit about you.
All right, I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I moved down here to Georgia about 25 years ago. I spent a lot of my time in the construction field, also various trades from carpentry to plumbing to electrical, HVAC. You know, I switched fields several times until I found something that I enjoyed, that I love doing. And in the process of doing that, I found out that I love flying drones. So I came across flying drones and got a nice business doing it now called Drone Life. I do various recreational flying as well, but now that I have my license to fly drones, I spend a lot of time working with insurance companies, roofing companies, agriculture companies, doing land surveys. So it's fun, but as well as right now, I also work for a medical company servicing and repairing radiation machines for the hospitals, also for cannabis companies. So as you see, I have a wide range of things that I do, and I enjoy doing it all. And the most thing that brings joy to me is working here at the Stewart Foundation. I love working with the youth, just seeing them prosper and just glow when they do something or create something that they didn't think they would be capable of doing. It's a beautiful sight, and the fact that we have a high graduation rate in college rate for our students that pass through here, it motivates you to keep coming here and participating and just pushing and helping their future.
Wow. Hey, welcome back to Constructive Talks. You know, we've been having an amazing weekend with the Stewart Foundation and mentoring the youth. And it's been a blast. It's been a blast. As you know, I've been talking to the mentors and the mentees, and the mentors has learned just as much as the mentees have learned from each other. It's a collaboration. So one thing I've been talking about, and the topic has been the scale. So the scale, one plate of the scale, it has ignorance. Mm-hmm. And as we know, that just means we don't know.
Yeah.
Right? The other side of the scale plate has intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And we should always drive or should always want the side with intelligence to outweigh the side of the ignorant side, the ignorant side, right? And that's through having an open mind, researching, understanding information, debating, good constructive conversations. So the question is, now we have multiple generations. No, you're good. Now the question is, we have multiple generations. You know, your generation, you see me as the old people, right? And so I see my parents as the old people, right? So we have these generations coexisting in our societies. Mm-hmm. And one of the things is communication is the issue, right? Communicating with each other.
Yeah.
So in order to make each generation a little better, what are some ways that we can communicate, some suggestions and considerations for us to take to be able to communicate and make that side of the scale of intelligence outweigh that side of the scale that's ignorance? What do you think?
I think it mainly has to be...
First, introduce yourself.
Oh, yeah.
First, introduce yourself.
My name is Jamarcus. I'm the community chair for the Stewart Foundation.
Okay.
Okay, to answer your question, I think it first starts with listening. Honestly, I think that's like one of the bigger issues with people who are older and then people who are younger because, you know, at least from my experience, older people tend to think that their word is true and set in stone and don't necessarily want to hear what anybody younger than them wants to say. They don't want to hear anybody else because they're so stuck in their own way because they've lived for so much longer. They think this is the way, this is always going to be what it is. But what I think some people don't understand is that times are changing. Not everything is the same as it was back then.
Evolution.
Yeah, essentially. Technology, for one. Mm-hmm. Like, technology is a very, very big part of today's culture and stuff. And because they didn't have that, they just don't understand it to the extent that we do.
The usefulness of it, I think we kind of focus on the abuse of it.
Yeah.
Instead of the usefulness of it, right? Yeah. So it could be a bad thing. And I think since the society is kind of focused on looking at the negative first, we see technology as being a negative, a distraction, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now let me ask you this in that. So listening is the big part, and that's both directions, right? Because you said something that was pretty cool. Like usually when we're older, or someone that's older say, "I already know what I'm talking about. I've been through that, and you just need to listen to me, and your life will be better." And guess what automatically happens? The youth or somebody else say, "You know what? Since you're not listening to me, I'm not going to listen to you." Right? And so it's a back and forth.
Yeah.
It based off what you said. Okay. So now, so what can we do? What can we do? The listening part is yes, but so how do we listen?
How do we listen?
Correct.
Could you go deeper into that question?
Yeah. So some way I can listen and say, okay, I understand what they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
So let me try to communicate with them better because I'm listening. Another way is to provide opportunity. That means I'm listening to you, right? So let me provide opportunity that lines up with what you think or what we had the conversation about. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that shows that I'm listening. Methods to listen. The result of.
Yeah. Okay. So I think one of the things is that every generation goes through the same kind of things, just with different items, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
For older people, it may have been pagers and finally like Walkmans and handheld telephones at the first big brick.
Are you talking about me? Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He's exactly. That's me.
Is that kind of thing. And then newer generations are more on like the iPhones and like games on their phone or YouTube,
Digital
TikTok,
music.
yeah, digital music and things like that. It's essentially the same thing, just a different generation. And I think the best way to get it is to understand that you were in that predicament as well. Older people were in that predicament as well. They had the same thing, and they also wanted their parents to understand. And they may not have quite gotten it, but they really wanted them to understand. So the best thing to do is not essentially act like your parents, but try to be better than your parents. Try to understand more and try to be more open-minded about things.
So what you're saying is that, and let's use one of the old sayings, right? Don't forget where you came from, and have that empathy and compassion that the older folks were clueless at one point too.
Yeah.
They didn't want to listen.
Yeah.
And so that helps with the delivery of the result of listening that, hey, remember, you were in the same situation as a young person.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Man, that's you're 100% correct. I think, and that's what this mentorship, retreat is showing that, hey, you might know it all, but if you listen to the youth, you're going to discover something else.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then the youth are going to be able to voice and talk and discover that, guess what? What that older person was trying to say wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Because they had the opportunity to talk it out.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So let us know, how long you been with the Stewart Foundation?
About 10 years now.
Okay. And you have a position on the executive staff.
Yes.
Right? Which is what?
I'm on the community chair.
The community chair. So now think about this. Let me ask you this. What has been what has affected you the most that you think been the most profound thing? And I want you to try to name one that, man, you'll never forget that experience ever, and it's helping propel you to your next level. Because I know that's a lot, because you do a lot. But just think of that one.
Joining.
Okay, let folks know what you're talking about.
So when I first joined, you know what I'm saying? At first I was thinking, oh, this is going to be kind of boring.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking like I didn't really want to do it. I was like, I wasn't really feeling it at first. At the time I had literally just moved to Georgia, about a year before that. I wasn't really trying to do much. I was trying to kind of live my life, if that makes sense.
Yeah, hey, kids living their life. Imagine that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's but when I joined, the reason I say that was the most impactful is because I've been here for 10 years now. If I had never joined, I would have probably never been here like any other time later on.
Mm-hmm.
If I had never joined, I would have never been in the position, met the people I've met, learned the things that I've learned, seen the sites that I've seen, and participated in the activities that I've done.
So you're saying that when you did join, it was the perfect time in your life and you was mentally open enough to try it out.
Yeah.
And man, so listen now, everybody, 10 years, that's a career. 10 years is like half of a career almost, or, we say a career is 30 or 20, 10 years. So that takes some commitment, dedication, and that takes being humbled in that scale. I have to always bring that scale in every chance I get. The scale, one side had ignorance, just not knowing, and the other side has intelligence. Meaning, hey, I'm going to surround myself with positive people. I'm going to surround myself with people that's smarter than me. I'm going to surround myself with people that have skills and talent. Why? Because it's going to challenge you, right? If not, if the goal is not to be challenged, man, see, I'm not even going to ask what is the goal because everybody's individually driven. But think about that. 10 years. How old are you now?
17.
17.
I joined when I was 7.
And I paused for effect. 7. And still committed. So, okay. Man, that's pretty profound. I tell you what, Jay. So, what I want you to do now, and I challenge folks to do, is let the world know a quote that's yours. And a good call to action that you would like folks to know and maybe be able to use it in their lives one day. And we can talk it out too. It doesn't have to be, hey, one sentence. It could be just that constructive conversation and you talk it out. And we'll figure it out.
Oh, man.
Hey, intelligence.
I would say creating a world that you want to see requires an openness to the world already around you.
So using what already exists and make it better with your vision of good, right? I was listening to something the other day. Man, it's an old school dude too. And he said something. He said, hey, don't ignore what you have, wanting something else. Use what you have to make what you want and need. I'm ad-libbing, but think about that. Use what you got.
I understand.
Right? And we'll say, I think one in the 80s, use what you got to get what you want. Well, no, use what you have to make a positive difference in your community. Right? And that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Make the world a better place based on this, what it is right now. Make it better. Okay, that's cool, man. Hey, you know the deal here at Constructive Talks. We do constructive things all the time. In the description below, you'll know how to reach the StewartFoundation.com. Constructive Talks. You know the deal. What we're going to do is leave you with this. Always be better than you were yesterday. Is that okay?
Of course.
You got a thing to close with?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think as long as we were more open, to other people's opinions, I think the world would be a lot better.
No matter what.
No matter what.
Be open to somebody else's opinion. That's why I wrote the book, My Bubble Opinion. Be open. All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks for joining us. Talk to you later. Wave to the people. Wave to the people. All right. Thanks a lot. You good. Okay. Wow. We're still going at it here. This weekend has been amazing. The Stewart Foundation and the youth retreat, excellent mentors, excellent mentees. They're everywhere. I had to do the same thing. These mentors be having security, so you got to get through the security to get them over here so you can talk to them. Hey, dude, chill out. She's good. She's in good hands, okay? So, one of the things we've been talking about is the scale, right?
Okay.
And on one end of the scale, we have ignorance, which is just not knowing, right? You don't know something, right? And not smart on that topic. The other side is intelligence. And that's just about growing and researching and always challenging yourself to be open enough to learn more.
Okay.
And one of the things we want to do is always make the side of intelligence heavier than the side of ignorance, right? By making sure we stay focused on learning and growing. Now,
Can I interject?
well,
Because you gave me this.
I'm going to give it to you, though. Hold up a second. You see what I go through?
Sorry,
Security.
guys.
No, don't beat me. Okay, so in a multi-generational environment that we live in, right? We have the youth, they think we're old.
Yeah.
We have our parents and stuff, we think they're old, right? So what would you consider us to do to help, bridge that communication environment where we can talk a little easier and be able to transform the next generation that's being created? What are some methods or considerations we should take, and to make that a little more easier? But first, introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I am June Estelle, and I am one of the youth co-directors for youth programs. And I've been with the Stewart Foundation, almost since its inception, maybe 19 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and my daughter is like 24, and she was one of the youngest people back in the day. She was 8, so if that gives you any perspective.
Okay.
And to answer your question, I think generational activities are great, like what we're doing. We do these type of trips with the youth. We just got back from the Andrew Young, Emerging Leaders Conference. And again, it's the generations. We had some older people coming in and speaking to the younger people and just kind of trying to give them nuggets before they go off into the real world. So I think those types of activities are important. We learned a lot from them during that conference, and this weekend, we learned a lot. So I think just doing generational activities where we can have dialogue. I think everything starts with communication and trying to get an understanding of each other.
Okay. So you say do activities outside of your normal activities.
Yes.
In the communities where it's multi-generational folks that are attending or presenting or a part of it.
That's exactly what I'm saying, and that is how we structure what we do in this foundation. We have our social quarter, our cultural quarter. We have our quarter where we give back, and we go to homes like A.G. Rhodes homes with the seniors, and we have our younger people interact with the seniors at A.G. Rhodes. They do, we play a game called Kingo, and it's based on questions about Dr. King's day.
Okay.
Many of those people were actually a part of what went on in Dr. King's day.
Okay, good stuff.
So we mix our youth with people of that generation. And it's always a really big hit. As a matter of fact, we usually have to cut off the volunteer list for that particular activity.
Okay.
So it's I think, making a conscious effort to do things that might be outside of your comfort zone.
There you go. Making that effort on purpose.
Yes.
To attend or be part of is a critical part. But now let me tell you something that, the biggest part is to come back and share your experience.
This is true.
Right?
This is true.
Because everybody sees it differently.
Yes.
So if you can have the old folks or the older folks and the young rookies come back and that were attentive enough when they went through the experience to share that experience with folks,
Right.
you get a unique perspective, right?
We do. We absolutely do.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I think one of the things, like, we just found out that almost everybody on our cabinet wants to run for president next program year.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I know.
membership has its privileges.
100%.
But these students or these youth always have a very rich experience, and we do too. Because wouldn't you agree this is your first time?
Yeah.
And didn't you learn?
It was cool.
Yeah.
I had a blast.
Yeah.
I'm doing what I do right now. I'm having a blast.
Right. So this is important. And then we take them out and we serve the homeless. We go into A.G. Rhodes. We also go to a place called the Smart Place, and it services people with autism or on the spectrum.
Yeah.
Sorry. So
No problem, you good.
from 16 to, I think it's 16 to like 62.
Okay.
And so it gives them an appreciation as well, because everyone is not always able to be exposed to everything. So we like to make sure they get exposure, and we like to make sure that exposure experience is well-rounded.
Now, y'all heard her pull rank on me, right? She said, hey, I've been doing this since, 19, 20, 30 years. And she said, oh, this is your first. This is your first.
That is not how we meant it.
But, the cool part about being the first is that you're accepted and you be able to have your voice shared. So it doesn't matter if it's 1,000, a 5, or 2, or 1. Our voices are important in our experience.
That is so true.
Right.
And what I meant by that is we're glad to have you as your first time, quite honestly, because you just jumped right in as a new member of the foundation, and you are like everywhere. You're doing this type of thing. You came to the retreat on short notice, and we really, really, really need our African American males to be role models here, and you all have done that. You show up well. So much appreciation. It's your first year, but it's like you've been here 10 years.
That's right.
So we appreciate it.
So you see, constructive talks comes in, man, and I tell you, and you just heard a call to action. We can use more African American men to do a lot of things because technically now, this, in my opinion, we're looked up to.
That is so true.
No matter what walk of life we come from, we're looked up to because our voices resonate.
That's true.
And definitely the ladies, man, African American ladies, their voices are just so uplifting and supportive and resonates and just makes it go 2-3 times the volume, right? And what I mean by that is more people can hear everybody talk.
And may I just make an addendum to what I said?
Okay.
Because of course we want our African American males. Those role models are especially important to this group. But we are open to any males in particular that want to come and be a part of this and help us. But it's just really a special bond when our young men get to see men of color.
Yeah.
That it's just a special bond, as you may have experienced this weekend.
Yeah, it's that communication, it's that commonality.
Yes.
Commonalities are real because that helps reduce the barriers in the communication process.
Yes.
Because if I've never had your experience or never truly understand your experience by experiencing some of it in my life,
Yep.
it's hard to do it from a distance,
It truly is.
right? You know, so okay, Miss June, here we go. Everybody get to leave their own personal quote with the world. And you get to leave your own personal quote. You can't recycle somebody's stuff.
I'm not, but do I get to go back and talk about the bracelet that you
Yeah,
gave
you
us?
go. Dude, you can talk.
Okay,
It's
so
yours.
Lee was nice enough to give bracelets with impactful statements to all of our youth as well as the adults. And mine happens to say, never stop learning. And that's perfect for me. I'm a trainer by trade. You didn't even know that. But you always talk about how we're learning and learning. And this is so true. That's what we do here. So we had an exercise just a few minutes ago, and it was talking about what's our favorite quote. And my favorite quote is, gratitude is being keenly aware of the givers in your life.
There you go. Hey, so you have to be aware of who's giving to you and supporting you.
Yes.
Guess what? Without request. Because if you had to request it, they didn't want to do it. I'm just saying. Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Now
true.
you can request and fine tune them
That's true.
on how they support. But
Yeah.
boy, if you guys say, "Hey, help me,"
Yep.
that's an
right.
inconvenience.
That's a
Like,
whole
hold up, I didn't want it. What? Wait, hold
I
up,
didn't
I
sign
got
up
things
for
to
that.
do. Yeah, I'm not sacrificing. What?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, hey, go out there, make a difference, be aware of the environment you're in, and you know what? Everything in an environment always gives us something to be grateful for, but also gives us something to appreciate. And there you go, that scale, that ignorance, just not knowing, intelligence, we know or we strive to know more. That's what that does.
That's exactly right.
Right.
Yeah.
You have anything you want to close with?
I just close with saying thank you again, being gratefully aware of you and what you brought to the table to this organization and your time with us. And I hope that we've impacted someone to take the call to action and come be a part of even one of our volunteer events. Just a one-time visit. We'd love to have you.
Hey, the StewartFoundation.com. It's in the description below. Come out, have fun. Hey, give back. We have to give back in some form, shape, or fashion, right? Hey, Constructive Talks out. Thanks. Look forward to talking to you again soon. Later.
Thank you.
All right. Welcome back to Constructive Talks. Man, we've been doing this all weekend. Having a blast. We're here at the Stewart Foundation Youth Retreat Mentorship. Get some good stuff in, man. And I would tell you that one of the cool things about it is we all grow. We all get a little better in what we do. And I have one of the amazing youth here. He's a mentee. And hey, we're all proud to mentor the youth. We say that, right? But man, it's an actual thing. So have you tell everybody your name and let us know how you've enjoyed yourself so far.
My name is Cameron Nelson. I've been here with Stewart Foundation for like about 6 years now, and I'm a parliamentarian currently. Here at this retreat, I've really liked it. I've enjoyed it a lot, and it's been really fun here. It's been like really nice because I got to connect with more people, and I like the area that we're in. It's like very beautiful, nature-wise, and I got to learn new stuff that I haven't learned before.
Okay. Hey, constructive talks get all the. Hey, it was hard to get. I had to go through a lot of red tape just to get him the interview. Whew, that took a minute, man. Security. Hey, stand down, security. Okay, so now what I've been asking people is this, and folks and everybody, mentors, mentees, um, we've been talking about the scale. You can imagine a scale, right? That has the two
Yeah.
plates on it. So the scale has on one side ignorance.
Mhm.
It's just not knowing. Just I don't know, right? Just not aware of the topic. And the other side is intelligence, right? That intelligence. And what we always want to do in our life journey is make sure that that plate that has intelligence on it outweighs the plate that has ignorance on it, right? By always just trying to gain more knowledge and perspectives. So my question is, we have multiple generations, man. You call us old, right?
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So we call my parents old. Think about that.
So
That's crazy. It keeps going, the old folks, right? So what are some ways or techniques that you think that we can implement in our days or as we on our life journey to be able to communicate amongst the generations to be able to, to make that side of intelligence and growth more acceptable, something that people thrive or desire to do daily? How can we communicate that and get everybody to kind of listen to each other?
um, well, I know it's hard to listen to my generation because like we have developed this new slang that like I find that a lot of older people find hard to understand. But if there's topics that we talk about that might not agree with an older generation, but we feel different from it because we come from a different generation. And if you want to agree on it, you have to like hear both sides of the
If you
story.
want to discuss it.
Oh, discuss it.
No, that's what I'm saying. You're right,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if you not necessarily agree on it, but discuss it, you have to.
Like hear both sides of the story. You have to like make sure you're actually listening and not just like regurgitating information. Like make sure it's not going through both of your ears. Make sure you're actually maintaining what they're saying so you can understand and get a good discussion going.
So one of the things that is starting to kind of repeat itself is listening. Man, in order to listen in today's society with all the distractions, you have to pause for a moment. You have to pause, say, okay, let me stop multitasking. Let me sit down and pay attention because here we go. I might learn something if I listen. I think Mr. Stewart, Hank said something earlier is that everybody has something to say, no matter what, right? And one of the things that I want you to comment on this. If I'm not stuck in my ways and you're talking, do you think I'll be able to hear you?
If you're not stuck in your ways,
Yeah, because some people are stuck in their ways, right?
I feel like you'll be able to hear me if you listen and you're like, you know, if you listen, you're not stuck in your ways, you're open minded. Yeah, you'll be able to hear me and understand what I'm talking about.
And that means you have to be not stuck in your ways, right?
It has to go both ways. Like you can't just be one sided, let one person hear and the other person not listening, because then you don't get both discussions across the board. Point.
So if you had to think of anything since you've been in the foundation all these years, old man, right? What would you say one thing has been that just resonated with you that, man, you are so glad that you experienced it?
It's actually a lot, but if I had to choose one, maybe like in general the opportunities that we got, like the places they took us, the people we met. I've met a lot of people who I probably wouldn't have met through the Stewart Foundation, and they took us places that me personally, like they gave me an opportunity to fly out to Pensacola and go to Naval Academy base, and I've been interested in airplanes since I was about 6. And I always wanted to fly an airplane. I always been going to camps, and they gave me an extra opportunity to further my understanding about planes.
Opportunity. So that's it. That's what you said. That's been so profound in your life, having the opportunity that you didn't know you needed, but you got it and appreciated it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, all right. Now, we always try to do a call to action. So, what we do at Constructive Talks, you get a chance to tell the world your own quote. So, this is the time you would create a quote and, man, to inspire somebody to call to action. I won't do like we did in Jeopardy. I mean, just Wheel of Fortune. 10, 9. I won't do that. Take your time. You have plenty of time.
If I had to create a quote,
Mm-hmm.
um, I know what I'm thinking, but I don't know how to.
Just say it. And if you say it, and then you can fix it while we're talking.
Don't let the knots. Don't get hit in the head and get a knot. Just untie yourself and get loose.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, like the knots, like a rope.
Mhm.
You know how a rope has knots? What he's saying is, and I want you to fix it, that don't let all the knots guide the length of the rope, determine the length, because you can untie them.
Yeah, and become more and you can like untie them and become longer and basically like what's the word I'm looking for? I guess more experience or have more knowledge on what your conversation is.
Okay, and how? Yeah, being capable of doing more, because you just gave yourself more opportunity with the longer rope.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he talked about opportunities. And I will say that, man. I really appreciate everybody for tuning in. This experience, being a mentor, as well as a mentee, because they're teaching us how to be younger minded. I think you guys were playing hide and seek the other day, and it's like, oh God, really? Like, people still do that? Like, really? Like, go in there and go to bed or something at 2 a.m, right? So they keep us young minded, having to keep up. So I want to say thank you for joining Constructive Talks. All the information to the Stewart Foundation .com is in the description below. Click on it, and you'll see plenty of opportunities to give back to big fellas like this. I appreciate you for tuning in, and y'all take it easy.
All right, bye.
We still need to reach some of the adults.
Okay, so we're here at Constructive Talks. This is Mark, and we're talking about how to reach the our local communities, be it adults or children. And some of the things that he's saying is you got to be able to upgrade your operating system. Yep. The things you believe, the things that you followed or we followed or they're following in their lives. We have to make that scale that we talked about earlier. On one side is ignorance. The definition is just not knowing. Ignorance, not a bad word. And intelligence is on the other side. Mm-hmm. And we want that scale plate filled with intelligence to be heavier than the ignorant one. And some of the things Mark talked about is man, because I can remember talking to my mom. I can remember talking to my dad. You guys seen the talks on Constructive Talks. Mm-hmm. And man, it took a minute for me to get my dad to open his mind up enough to fly on a plane.
Yeah.
Well, to ride on a plane, to fly. But once he did, he was like, whoa. We're up over New York. He's like, oh my God, I've been ground stuck.
Yep.
Also, going across the high bridge. He was stuck in that because of what Mark talks about. We pass on things in our basic communication in the days, and it can promote fear.
Yeah.
And we not even knowing we're promoting fear.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
Exactly. Yeah. One of the things, as I say, we need to reach the adults also, which is very important, so that the communication would be there with the kids. I think it's fundamental to not just have the intelligence with the kids and not the adults, because that's where the structures are. That's where all the groundworks are.
The keeper of the standard.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or in the adults.
In the adults, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, we still need to. And the thing with dealing with adults, you have to be very, very transparent. Everybody have their own beliefs. Everybody's grown, and they think, well, look, I've been doing this for all my life, and I really don't want to change. So this been working for me, but as I say, it's technology. It's just a better way, a faster way, a more efficient way. But some people are just, look, I'm comfortable where I am. Don't try to get to me. So as I say, we as a to get into to get to that level, we have to be transparent. We have to be transparent to the adults.
You know what? I would tell you this, Mark. You definitely hit a home run, talking about how, folks, adults, sometimes are just stuck in their ways and not know they're stuck in their ways,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, you know how many people I've seen that will only listen so far?
Yep. Yep.
Like, you can have a conversation and then they'll
Yep.
go into their way.
Yeah.
They'll say, hey,
Yep.
you
This
know
is
what?
my level.
Hey,
This is they're really like this is above my pay grade. But it's just another step. It's just another step.
Yeah.
It's just taking another step, and people are just fear of the unknown. Sometimes I find myself like that too, but we have to actually we have to communicate more. We have to reach. We have to be more transparent so that we can actually get to the level of the kids that we're trying to support.
in my bubble, in my book series, my bubble opinion, and I just wrote a book as well at the beginning of the year, Fixing the Unbroken Me. Man, I think sometimes we'll take that unknown checklist that society inundates us with from birth, be it this is what a relationship should be it this is what success is, this is how you're supposed to navigate with family, this is how you're supposed to navigate with, strangers or friends, or even this is how you learn.
Yeah.
We'll take those things and in our subconsciousness, it'll be there and we'll adopt them in our lives.
Yep.
And we'll live by them. And some things we live unknowingly.
Yeah.
We just do it I call it autopilot, auto action, actually what I call it in the book. We don't even think about it. And one of the things I use, and I heard it yesterday, that we bring the spoon, knives, and forks. And then the first thing I thought about, what we need knives for, when all I see is snacks. Right? But they say, did you bring those 3 items? Why? Because we've been taught that's how you set a table.
Yep.
If you're eating soup, you got a knife.
Yep.
You kidding me? But that's an auto action that we do, and we hold other people accountable for those auto actions that we've been taught.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I want you to talk about what you talked about earlier, and you talked about upgrading the computer operating system. What were you talking about?
Oh, yeah. With it's in connection with growth. We never stop growing, and as adults, sometimes we feel, look, I'm at max, I'm at capacity, and it's we could never max out, But sometimes as adults, we just think, well, look, I'm not doing this. I'm not getting myself involved, and it's all because of what It's all because of what we've been taught. I mean, we're not trying to go away from our roots, or we're not trying to. But going a step further, it helps. It helps with, as I say, communicating. It helps with dealing with the younger kids.
So I'm gonna say this right here, and we can always expand and grow, right? We can always improve what we do, that operating system within us.
Yep.
So, and some people might say, hey, I've reached max capacity. But understand that's what we talked about, that intelligence in the ignorance level, right?
Yep.
Not knowing,
but meeting your max capacity, it's still not saying that you can grow. I mean, there's so much diversity in what we do. Take for example, looking at a cup half full and looking at a cup half empty. I mean, when you reach max capacity, there is so much. Instead of going up, you can go
outward.
Out, exactly.
Horizontal, right?
Horizontal, yeah. I mean, and we don't. Sometimes we don't explore that option.
Well, so what you? No, go ahead.
So it's not. As I was saying, as like just like a computer, when we max out, we still can function with an upgrade. I mean, it's just, as I say, it's just a level of communication. It's just another level or another step of getting out there and making it happen. So
Okay. Yeah. So I look at it like this, and I'm pretty tech savvy. I can hit ASFD stuff on the keyboard. When I need more memory, I buy external hard drive.
yeah, exactly.
I grow.
Yeah, exactly.
When the computer's slow, I get a better processor.
Yep.
So guess what that means in human terms? Read a little bit more.
Yep. Yep.
Surround yourself with people that are smarter than you.
Smarter. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You do these things, you study a little more, you research, you have those constructive conversations.
Yeah.
You watch things that help you understand more things like we're talking about, not being stuck on what we know.
Yeah.
Get stuck on what you don't know and research and find out and explore like the universe, right?
Yeah.
So that's exactly what we're talking about. That's what Mark is talking about. Hey man, go buy that external hard drive.
Yeah.
Instead of being a consumer of entertainment, be the creator of entertainment.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And it's amazing because there's so much resource out there. Just a phone call. We all have a smartphone. Google it.
YouTube.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's not. We shouldn't just limit ourselves and be like, that's it.
Correct. So, here at Constructive Talks, that's what we do. We have constructive conversations. The YouTube channel is Constructive Talks LRW. Tune in. You're going to get all this good stuff now. And to help expand your computer capacity. And the computer is you. So anything you want to close with, Mark? And now tell the youth. Now, understand youth. We're talking to you and adults, big people, big kids, right? We're talking to everybody. Anything you want to close with?
Yeah. Don't limit yourself. Just don't limit yourself. Just get out there and life is full of surprises, and you never know. You never know what's the step ahead of you. So just sometimes you just have to venture out. Just don't limit yourself.
Okay, don't limit yourself. What does that mean? Hey, where you are now, you can always go horizontal out to learn more. You don't always have to go up. Right?
Exactly.
But a lot of times when you're going horizontal, automatically you're doing this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So, hey, go do something constructive, have those constructive conversations, and remember, not only do we love the youth and adults, we want positive things to happen. There's no such thing as a cup half full or half empty. It's got something in it.
Exactly.
Use what's in it.
Yep.
Don't wish for what's not in it. And don't look at what's in it as a negative thing like, I need more. You got exactly what you need.
Yeah.
So there you go. Hey, the information is in the description below. Enjoy. Talk to you soon.
Peace.
Okay. Constructive Talks here with the Stewart Foundation president, the Youth Council president. Man, he does great things. We're here at this retreat, mentorship retreat that the foundation is hosting. And so tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Jones. I am a graduate of Jonesboro High School. I will be attending Alabama State University in the fall, majoring in biomedical engineering, and I have been a part of the Stewart Foundation since 2020.
All right. Hey, smarty pants, right? Engineering, bioengineering. Hey, you have to have focus to do that. So some of the conversations we've been having today, Benjamin, is, and we're going to stay with the narrative of the scale. So one side of the scale is ignorance, and we know ignorance is just not knowing.
Mm-hmm.
And the other side is intelligence, right? So the question is, what are some things from your perspective that we can do? And we're not talking about benefiting or anything. It's just communicating to not only the youth, but older folks, and say the older generation before me, my generation, your generation. What are some things that you think we can consider or some perspectives we can look at to get that communication to and I won't use the word inspire, but I'm going to use the word to support the evolution of intelligence, the use of intelligence to outweigh the side of ignorance, not knowing. What are some things you think we can do?
The first thing you need to do is figure out what intelligence and ignorance is. A lot of people think ignorance is just stupidity.
Correct.
But ignorance and stupidity are two very different things. When you're ignorant, you simply don't know. You weren't educated on the topic. to stop ignorance, you just have to spread the word and spread awareness. Now, whether they take that and be intelligent with the information, or continue to be, or start being stupid with the information and knowing better but still doing the wrong thing, is up to them. But the first step is spreading the wealth and the knowledge.
And I think, hey, the president said something that was very profound, actually. Once you know a process or a thing to do that's good or that enlightens, a person should decide to want to stay on that path in their life journey.
Right.
They continue to do that right thing, but continue to research information, right? Research that information, research and choose the people around you, because that makes a difference on what you're inundated with,
Yeah.
right? If you choose folks around you that just prefer not to know things, eventually you're going to become that. But if you choose folks around you that want to research and learn and evolve their intelligence level, you're going to do that as well, right?
Product of your environment.
Yeah, and I always say, hang out with folks smarter than me.
Right.
Hang out with people smarter than you. They challenge you to learn things, right? So this retreat right here, what is one of the things that you truly want to get out of it, but one of the things that you want your cabinet and the mentors to kind of get out of it as well for this weekend?
I feel like the most important thing for us to learn out here is probably, we had a presentation last night and they spoke on the traits of a good leader. And this trip can be a great opportunity for everybody to see how each and every person operates and how you can lead them and what they're good at, their strengths and weaknesses. Because if you don't know somebody's strengths and weaknesses, you can't lead them properly. And this trip could be just a good opportunity for the mentors and mentees, for the mentors to see what the mentees need to grow upon and where they can develop and how they can help the mentees, and for the mentees to get their mentor, to get to know their mentors a little better, and for them to just form that bond.
Yeah, I think that's part of the patient. Be patient with the process.
Yeah.
In today's society, of course, with technology, man, you don't have to be patient to get what you want. It's like almost immediate.
Instant.
Yeah, like Uber. Hey, call Uber. And I would say that patience, and one of the things that we talked about last night was caring.
Right.
Right. So I got to care to listen to you. I got to care about your voice.
Right.
To listen to you, to communicate with you. If I don't care, I'm going to ignore you. You see that ignorance?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I don't want to know. And I get to choose that. But if I want to evolve my intelligence level and my surroundings to be more intelligent and conducive for growth, I have to care and be patient with those around me.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about, man, you're going to school. What do you know right now? Say, man, there's a lot of unknowns in that.
It's a lot. Honestly, it's not
But
much.
let me ask you this. What's going to come? You got to have an approach, right?
Right.
What's your approach to attending college right now?
Well, my approach to attending college would probably be, I just want to get a good foundation to build off of for the next few years. I need to get into the good habits for learning in this new realm, because learning in college is a lot different and a lot less structured. So I need to get more discipline and stuff like that in order. That's my approach going into college. And as far as what I know, honestly, it's not much that I do know about college. There are some things that I think I know, but I don't really know. And it's okay to go into college not knowing things, because you're there to soak up the knowledge. Sometimes it's more important to listen and take things in and see what somebody can teach you rather than showing them what you already know.
Flexibility.
Right.
Be flexible in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was one of the things we talked about with leadership last night, right? Be that situation. When the situation comes, assess the situation, make a decision, and fail early and often.
Right.
Right? Hey, it's okay to fail, but it's not okay to stay in failure.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So failing is just, oh man, I got to figure out how to do it so that I can move it forward. Okay, so man, I tell you, I remember those younger days when I was transitioning from my mama house, right?
Yeah.
And the unknown and that big old R word is waiting for me. Responsibility is mine, right? So college, the bioengineer, the unknown. But that's one good thing about the Stewart Foundation. They teach you about resume, job interviews, etiquette,
Yep.
and all these different things. Do you think you would take a lot of those things that you've learned here with the Stewart Foundation and being president of the Youth Council that you would take into your future?
I have already, in high school, I've used countless of the things we learned in the workshops in order to navigate through whether it be a leadership title, following somebody else, doing solo work. All of the, not so many things that have been taught by the Stewart Foundation have been this helpful just in high school. So I can only imagine how I could be able to use it to really grow my learning and expand my
Intelligence
horizon,
level.
expand my intelligence
Yeah.
in college compared to what I've already done in high school.
Man, the good thing about it is that your hard drive, and I had a conversation with somebody earlier who say, update your operating system.
Right.
Always, sometimes you got to add an external hard drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you got to add a processor, right? And having that where you say, hey, you know what? I don't know it all. And I'm not going to stay rigid in what I know already because that would make me outweigh on the ignorant side because I'm not learning and I
Right.
don't know.
Don't know.
And there's that intelligence scale where that is intelligence plate on the scale weighing heavier. I'm rooting for you. You can do this. Not only can you do it, but understand. And part of what I write about in my Bubble Opinion book series is you have say so in your space.
Mm.
You have say now. Some things you won't have say so, but you will know that. But the things you have say so in, like who you select around you,
Right.
you're going to have say-so in that. And I would say this, if I didn't say anything else or advise people, because I kind of give considerations, do not allow anything to wander in your space without verifying that it has skill and talent.
Mm.
Because sometimes if something doesn't have skill and talent, they're going to drain yours to enhance their life. But most folks that's got skill and talent, they're going to always make you be better. That's why I say surround yourself with people smarter than you.
Yeah.
Okay? So is it anything you want to say to the youth or the adults out there, either about your journey or just give them a call to action to do? So you're president.
Right.
That's what you do.
All I want to ask of the audience is to be the person that does what you know that needs to be done all the time and show anybody that could be looking up to you, whether they're older, younger, anything, show them what they're supposed to be doing and show them, lead by example and be the example that you would want to be able to look up on when you were in their shoes.
Wow, be the example. Woo, that's a process. Hey, thank you for joining us at Constructive Talks. All the information is in the description below. We look forward to talking to you again. And hey, I got plenty more interviews during this retreat. Thank you for hanging out with us, and thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hey, this is Lee Wright coming back at you again. We out here at this amazing, I'm going to call it big country resort. It's all kind of hills and grass, look amazing. So right now I got, Mr. Jesse right here. Jesse, let everybody know a little bit about you.
Oh, Jesse Hall, hail from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
I'm going to get you too, man. So
Living here in Atlanta, working with the Stewart Foundation, the nurse for the VA.
that's okay.
For about 32 years, disabled veteran. I still have my brains though.
Yeah, please.
I'm still intact. I'm a disabled veteran, but I'm still intact.
That's good. That's good. Yes, sir.
And we are here just trying to change lives, one child at a time.
Okay. So, what I think we were talking earlier, right? And we were talking about, you see what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about the scale. And I want that to be the narrative with everybody I talked to today, talking about that scale of balance. One side of the scale had the plate of ignorance, which was this one.
Right.
And the other one had the plate of intelligence. And we talked about, society right now teaches us to gain, benefit. So what are some things you think we can do to communicate to the youth or people, right? Let's say people, because we have communities we live in, to gravitate towards understanding the evolution of intelligence by understanding the communities they live in and maybe incorporating the give back, or just incorporating making decisions that down the line gives back to the harmony of society, right? The harmony of that community, uplifting folks, making sure education and helping that younger generation and older generation, because sometimes we're stuck in what we do.
Exactly.
And we're stuck in cultural conditioning in a manner that we won't pull out of it because we've dedicated too much time.
Absolutely.
So we remain on
Absolutely.
that. I'm not going to say it, but we might remain stuck on that ignorant side of the scale and say, hey, I can see the benefit of the intelligent side, but I've given too much time in my life towards this. And I'm not saying towards ignorance, but towards what I believe that may not be going towards that intelligent evolution.
Exactly.
So what do you think?
I think it's been a change of overall core values within the community. That community, once and then it spreads. They say charity starts at home and it spreads abroad.
Yeah.
Well, what's being spread is infectious in a negative way.
Wow.
The things that I think today's youth are adhering to, it's so much, the social media thing. That they see things, but they don't have the ability to discern reality from that fiction. That ignorance that you were talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what they see. As we were coming up, we were surrounded by wisdom. We were surrounded by wisdom, and I think when those core values changed, I think parents got younger and younger. They don't have the guidance that we had growing up. For instance, I was talking to you earlier about, I was fortunate enough to be raised around my great grandparents, my grandparents, and had my parents, and my great grandparents were born slaves. Most of the lessons that I learned in life today was from them. You can't be. It's like these trees out here. When they planted, those roots go deep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't walk up to that tree and push it over, man. You got to go deep to uproot that tree. So those core values that we had, they were deep rooted. The core values they have now, but I call it that Mississippi, that red clay dirt.
Yeah.
You can walk up. You can walk up to those trees almost and push them over, and they fall over because those roots, those core value roots, don't go as deep as the ones we had. And I think until there's a certain awareness that those individuals achieve, and it has to come from within. We can talk to
within the individual,
exactly,
both parties.
Yeah.
Okay.
But mostly within that individual. It's just like, I always make this analogy. It's like if a family has a certain member that's a crackhead. The family member wants that person to go to rehab. But until that crackhead decides, man, I'm tired of this, I need to go to rehab, then it's not going to take hold. So until they can self-reflect and learn to listen to the wisdom that's being bestowed upon them, I hate to say it, but that ignorance is going to thrive.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's one of the reasons I do what I do and we do what we do here with the Stewart Foundation, is because we got to change the one. We can't save everybody.
Yeah,
that's what's in us to do. But reality, we can't. So that's what we had to do, one at a time.
Wow.
One at a time.
Wow, Jess, you said a lot to unpack, man. But let's say this. Let's go with your root analogy. Let's go with the within, and kind of because these are all under the same topic, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons the older generations had kind of the advantage to get their roots deeper was they didn't have the access to technology, right?
Exactly.
So the technology can be amazing, but if in the wrong hands, right? So,
right.
And everybody needs to understand, when we say ignorance, we're talking about the defined.
Exactly.
Not stupidity and all that stuff. We said not knowing.
Exactly. Exactly.
So let's say that. Let's say, man, when we were coming up, we had a little time to discern. We had a little time to practice trial and error.
Right.
Right now, with technology and with the generation that before and after, you don't have to wait.
Exactly.
You can say, hey, I want to choose this.
Instant.
And this is what I'm going with because
Absolutely.
it appeases your inner person,
Absolutely.
like you said, right?
And that's temporary.
Yeah, it's temporary because
Mhm.
guess what? I can go to the next thing if this
Exactly.
doesn't work.
Exactly.
I don't have to verify too much.
Exactly.
So one of the things we talk about with that evolution of intelligence is patience. And one of the last, when I talked to Major last time,
Mhm.
we talked about care, right?
Right.
So man, so it's in the eye of the receiver and the giver, caring patience. Because man, I tell you, when
It's
you
a good
talk
point.
about that tree,
It's a good point, man.
it took time
Man, exactly.
for those roots. It
Ex-
took good weather,
Exactly.
bad weather,
Exactly.
and amazing weather.
Man, and it was a community thing too.
100%, because this forest is a community,
Yes, sir.
right? Because I can guarantee you, when one tree finds a water source, it communicates that.
Hello. Hello.
And those other people, even no matter how far that tree is,
Mhm.
they got to get them roots over there
Exactly.
if they want to survive,
That's it.
right?
That's
so,
it.
So that's what we're talking about. That balance, that scale of that plate of ignorance
Hmm.
being lighter than that plate of intelligence,
I like that.
right?
I like that.
And it's a process,
Yeah.
Jesse. So
Yeah.
you say healthcare,
Hmm.
right? Man, think about the biases that go in healthcare. Think about the scale, the ignorance and the intelligence,
Yeah.
and how we talked about how sometimes people are just firm in what they believe.
That's it. Whether right or wrong.
So you can have somebody there suffering.
Yes.
And what kind of things have you experienced with that?
And I tell you, it's one of the things I'm going to talk about later today during my presentation.
So y'all getting earlier?
Yeah. So what we've been finding out is that, for instance, BMI, body mass index. There's a proportion with your height, your weight,
Yeah.
and you're supposed to be within this range. Anything over 30, you're considered obese. With your BMI. But what we've learned over the years is that for Caucasian individuals, 185 pounds as opposed to 185 pounds for an African American, those are two different. We're just built differently.
Correct.
So you can't have the same BMI. We're more dense. Let me put it that way. As African Americans, we're more dense.
And you
than
know
our
better than me, because that's what you do.
Yeah.
What's your temperature? What's your temperature? Hold on, what?
And I've been saying it for years. I was like, people say, well, my BMI is 31. I was like, man, don't forget that scale. Keep your weight in a certain range. It comes down to self-evaluation.
A healthy
man.
range.
Yeah, a healthy range, man. So BMI, there's a couple other things like O2 saturations. It measures the oxygenation of blood mixing in your system. We've come to find out that it's not equal for black. It's a whole different world for blacks. What was considered the norm for everybody. It's come to find out that that's not the norm. But because
for people of color, for
people,
black folks.
for black folks, man, but those are disparities. Some of them are planned. Some of them are ignorance. Some of it's ignorance, but most of it, I believe, is planned.
Okay. So you see, hey, I got him on his health, talking about health, man.
Yeah, we can go all day about that.
Your purse, right?
We can go all day about that, man. We can go all day about that, man.
So I say that, and what we're talking about is that scale of caring, right? So no matter what field you're in, if that person that sees a patient, if they care, they don't care about the biases.
Exactly.
Right? The biases has nothing to do with it.
Exactly.
And there are some amazing folks in healthcare.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you this. I think it was about maybe 15 years into my nursing career. I don't know if this name Byron De La Beckwith rings a bell with you.
No clue.
That's the guy. That's the gentleman that was convicted of assassinating med grabbers.
Okay.
I happened to be his nurse.
Oh, wow.
When he came, when I was in the VA in Jackson, Mississippi, he came in. He was one of the places. I don't know how I got chosen because he was they put him in a private area. He wasn't
maybe
have
because
access
you're chocolate.
to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And and the first thing, the first thing was he called me the N-word.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, this guy couldn't wipe his own butt, couldn't feed himself, couldn't do anything. We had to do everything for him, but he still, but I look past that. He was in my hands. I go, this is the guy that, to kill Meg Evans, but I'm committed to
To
care.
caring.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
committed to caring, but in spite of what we were, what this guy has done against our people,
Yeah.
what he said against, like I said, what he said to me when I walked in the room, he never didn't know me from Adam.
He just saw your skin.
Saw my skin, and the N word popped out. This man is on his deathbed.
Yeah.
N word
Yeah.
popped out just like that, man.
Well, like I talked about earlier, sometimes we go so far in our life that we won't go back.
Right.
That we don't want to evolve because we dedicated so much time to that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I see it.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I see it.
Yes.
But you know what else I see? When that person open their mind and do it or try it, they just amazed.
Hello.
Like a little kid with a fire engine on Christmas.
That's it.
They just like, oh man, I should have been doing that.
That's that window. I call it that window in your mind. If that window, if that window ever gets open, what you just said is what can be achieved.
So everybody, we're here at this mentorship retreat. Youth mentorship. We're trying to make a difference in folks' lives that is enduring. And back in the day, or now, you remember when that person in your life said something or done something? This is what we practice.
Absolutely.
So that way when they're, 10 years, 15, 30 years from now, they'd be like, ooh, I remember back in the 2024 that, Lee and Jesse said this.
Yeah.
Oh, man, they were right.
Yep.
Having that moment, that life moment, right? So that's what we take pride in doing at this retreat. So the call to action would be, look in your local community. And I'm saying local community is what you do every day, the people you touch every day, the people that's in your social environment, that's your local community. Give back to them and have those constructive conversations. You got anything to close out with, Jesse?
Absolutely. I'm just glad we're here. We're here this weekend. We're going to change lives. We appreciate Lee bringing this out, bringing this forward, and sharing it with the world.
Woo! It's getting hot out here, everybody. I'm
Stay
sweating a little
tuned.
bit. That's right. Constructive Talks out. Hey, the information is in the description below. Look forward to talking to you again soon. Later.
Peace.
All right. Welcome back to Constructive Talks. We're still here with the Stewart Foundation, mentoring. Hey, this is one of the mentees. Guess what her name is now? Hey, if you ever know her, as soon as you talk to her, you're being held accountable. What's your name?
Honesty.
Oh, man, they can't hear you. Say it a little louder.
Honesty.
Honesty. Like, whoa, hold on. Maybe I need to move, right? But she's one of the mentees. Very intelligent young lady. Very intelligent young lady. She's one of the mentees. Very intelligent young lady. What was your presentation on?
Honesty and
Talk
leadership.
up. Yeah, talk up.
Honesty and leadership.
Honesty and leadership. Man, being honest and leading people. We know you got to be honest to lead people. So what's one of the takeaways that you would say? Because I know when you came up here, it was kind of unexpected. Maybe what we were going to do. What did you learn that you didn't know before you got here? Take your time. Hey, this is all you. Like, oh man, you remember I did in my presentation that moment you get it, like, oh man, I never knew. I didn't think of it like that. What was one of those things?
Mr. Jesse had said something about the hospital people.
Oh, okay, healthcare. So what in healthcare got your curiosity about what he said? What did he say? You remember?
He said that the people at the hospital, if the patients would just come in there and say that they're good, then in the doctor's mind they're fine too.
Okay, so everybody hear that? So if you go to the doctor, and that's what honesty is talking about. If you go to the doctor, don't go to the doctor, especially after you've made that long appointment and say, I feel okay. Because then the doctor's like, man, I'm wasting my time. Okay, you're good. You need some meds. You need this. If it's anything else, let me know. And kind of what, the deal. It'll be 4 months later or 5 months later before they have time to see you again, right? So what made you do a presentation on leadership?
I just wanted to put leadership into my I don't know what
Into your life, like you wanted to got to get a better understanding of it, or you just wanted to make sure that because you're in leadership, you're a part of the youth council, so man, leadership is important to know as much as possible, right? So is that what you're saying? That's one of the things you want to do. Say if you study it and present it, you kind of understand it a little better.
Mhm.
Is that what you were thinking?
Yes.
Don't let me put words in your mouth. Is that what you were thinking? Okay, okay. So if you would have, think about children your age. If you gave them any kind of advice, what advice would you give them right now today?
I think a good one.
You can say a couple if you want. It doesn't matter. You can say as many as you want. This is your time. Hold on. What advice would you give them?
Follow your dreams. Never back back.
Follow your dreams. Never back back.
Believe in yourself. Always have confidence. Always be honest. Be a leader, not a follower.
Be a leader, not a follower, and be honest. See, she don't have an option but to be honest because that's her name, right? Perfect. So she's held accountable just by waking up. And be a leader, not a follower. And understand what the followers go through so when you lead them, you can always have that good connection and communication. You know, I want to thank you for tuning in to Constructive Talks. I really appreciate you. Do you have anything you want to close with? No? Yes? No? Maybe so?
Bye.
Hey, you heard that. Bye. Talk to you later. Read the information in the description below. We look forward to talking to you again soon. Bye. We're in here. Oh, man, I already started. Okay, hey, it's already started. I didn't even know. Big fingers, big fingers. Okay, hey, welcome back to Constructive Talks. You know the deal. We're out here with the Stewart Foundation as mentors with some excellent mentees. You've seen the talks and when I've asked them questions, man, amazingly smart children. So we have an amazing person with us today. We took the time out, like some of the mentees, you got to go through security to get certain people to come in your space. Hey, security, go. Listen, she's good. Okay, so what we've been talking about is the scale, and on the scale, it's got one side of the scale, and you've been a lawyer, you get this. You're like, hey, I'm going down, like from when she was in school, and they would say, pleaded fifth. So one side of the scale has ignorance,
Yes.
which we just don't know,
Right.
just not knowing. And the other side of the scale has intelligence, right? So the question is, since we have a multi-generation environment that we live in,
Yeah.
you know, we have the youth, we have us, we're close to the same, and then we have folks older than us. So we call our parents old folks. Understand that. And the youth call us old folks. And they don't have anybody to their left yet. So the question is, how do we open up that communication? What are some methods or considerations to take to cause these generations to kind of speak a little bit more so we can empower the next generation? Because if we're 3 generations now living, a 4th one is coming.
Right.
What are some of the things you think we can do to kind of help these multiple generations exist but communicate more effectively so we can empower the next generation? But first, as you think of that, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Monica Teasley. I'm the attorney for the foundation. I have my own firm, and I don't know what else to say other than those wonderful things about myself. And yesterday was my birthday.
Happy birthday
Thank
to you. Happy birthday to you. Okay, so yeah, that's the question is what do we need to consider doing and help empower that next generation? But first, we got to communicate with each other amongst these three generations? What are some things you think?
I think we really have to, things like this, a retreat, we really have to do, or the youth organization itself, we have to do things to speak to them because they're going to be speaking to the next generation. So we have to communicate with them. We have to talk to our mentees right now, make sure that they understand what are important things for them to impart onto others. And I think that's training them, having these retreat, having them engage in leadership conferences, things like that, so that they can understand how they need to communicate with other people. The important things in life, like what you talked about at your lecture, but just what's important, so that they can say to the other people, this is what you need to know. These are the things that we want you to know so that you can pass this on generation after generation.
So let me ask you
My
this.
hand talking.
Since we have you free, we don't have to pay for consultation,
Right.
right? What are some things you've experienced with the youth being a lawyer that you see, and even with the older generation? Because I think we had a conversation about older generation last night, right? Or our generation.
Right.
To see that some of the challenges we might have and what may be some solutions to kind of get through.
A lot of questions. Okay, for our
The challenges. Let's do the challenges first. Go ahead.
challenges for our generation
That you see in your law firm.
The challenges I see is that people don't plan properly. So a lot of the reason why people come to me is because they haven't planned, and then they have a problem that could have actually been addressed if they had thought about it beforehand. Even if they engage a lawyer beforehand to talk about issues, or like you shouldn't engage in contracts without having a lawyer review a contract or draft a contract for you, because most times you don't know what to put in the contract, if anything at all. You don't know what you're saying or what's going to protect you or make the contract a legitimate contract, something that will protect you. Binding. Well, you can bind on anything, but
and it's still not legitimate.
Right.
Okay.
Because then you don't have all the clauses that you need, all the things that you don't know what happens if there's a breach. How do we get out of it? Like a lot of people have how do you enter the contract, but not how to end the contract. Those are things that you need to know, and people don't think about that because they're not thinking about. I think about the future. What is this contract for? What do you need it to do? And then how do you protect yourself? And how do you get out of it? So you have to think about all those things. Most people don't think about that. They're just thinking, we want to put this on paper so that we know that we're bound by this. That's not enough. And I think for the kids, I don't think they think enough. They don't read enough. They don't follow instructions. They're too busy Googling everything. They want life to be easy, so they Google it instead of saying, okay, let me think this thoroughly through.
And get the professional live person.
Right. I think that they don't listen. They would prefer to just Google, not recognizing the people that are writing these little Google notes are not necessarily people that understand or know what they're doing. They're just filling in some space on the internet, basically. So I don't think that they speak to live people enough. They don't communicate with each other enough. And they don't use their own brain. I always say, don't use my brain to do your work. Use your own brain. Think about it. Take a moment to sit down.
Personal growth.
Right. You have to think through things to understand how you get from one thing to the other. You can't just think, I'm going to push through this regardless of whether I know how to do it or not. You've got to actually think about it. It's proper planning. That's all I see it as, proper planning.
You know, you say something pretty unique, right? Because, and one of the things that I see as well, and what you're saying, to verify what you're saying, is that a lot of people don't want that hands-on anymore. They want to get the quick answer, and the quick answer for the right now, not the long term. Right? And so, and that is rampant.
They don't understand the consequences of their actions because they're acting for right now all the time. Adults do that now too.
That's what I was about to say. You said the words out of my mouth.
Acting for right now instead of planning for the future, or how is this one thing I'm doing right now going to affect me later? They don't think like that. Let
me let you know this, and you say that. So, like, say the Right Improvement Group, I get a customer, and I'm trying to help them do what they do better, their business. And so I have a lot of different things I can do. Like, let's say, build websites, right? So, with this certain society, this current society we have now, is that they say, hey, just build me a website and get me online, and I'm good. I'm like, no, you're not just good, because you don't even know how to use it.
Right.
And you don't know how to market it.
Right.
And you don't know. So guess what?
They also don't have liability waivers or other things on it, which they need. Most people never do that.
And they have them on there too. You know what? And they're required. Right? So, and guess what though? You say this because I say this, and we say this because they'll say, no, that's all I want. I said, well, if you work with me, you have to go through the process, and we collaborate, because we're going to have conversations on things you never thought about. Now, I can just give you this, but if I give it to you, you're going to come back.
Right.
Now, if you want to just give me your debit card to keep coming
And
back,
that's what I tell people. If you don't want me to assist you right now before it becomes a problem, it's going to be more expensive. When you come
100%.
back to me, it's because
Yeah.
you're in a real problem at that point, and it's going to be way more expensive.
Yes.
I tell people all the time, way more expensive
That's
for me.
right. Yeah,
So I'm like, I'm trying to help you not have that kind of problem.
Yeah.
And I also try to tell people that's why they should have a lawyer engaged as much as possible. They don't have to pay you regularly, but they should have a relationship with the lawyer.
to be able to talk to you a
Right,
little bit.
because when something does come up, they should be able to say, okay, let's bounce some ideas. Something's going on.
Yeah.
But people don't think like that, and they want the halfway. I was going to say half,
Yeah.
but they want the halfway done.
The quick way.
Yes, they want it to get through as quickly as possible without recognizing. I do estate planning for people, and they're like, "Oh, I just need a simple will." I'm like, "No, you need to cover this, and this. You have kids, you have this, that, and the other." They don't think about those things.
Yeah.
Like you have to think. It's proper planning at all times.
You know what?
And I'm not even a Boy Scout, but you have to plan.
And that's the thing about as we communicate, we have to plan our communication. What does that mean? The people we communicate with, we might have to go baby steps and do that hands-on, talk, show, feedback,
Right.
And go through that process. So the fast way isn't always the best way because it could become very expensive. And I'm not just talking cash. I'm talking time. I'm talking being used. I'm talking being taken advantage of. I'm talking about you get something and it's rewarding, and then you find out it wasn't written properly.
Right.
It wasn't planned, and it's taken
You've lost
away.
money. You've lost time. People don't understand that. I don't file lawsuits regularly. It's not because I don't want to litigate. It's because it's time. I keep trying to explain to people the best solution is to resolve the situation. You want to have a mediation or some kind of settlement, because if you go to trials cost money. You spend time
100%.
in court. That's time away from work. You spending time on a lawyer. And money on a lawyer. All those things. That's time and taken away that you could actually resolve things more efficiently. My logo is effective, efficient, and experienced. Because those are the things I think you need in order to do something correctly.
100%. 100%. So now let's you guys are getting this good lawyer perspective on what we're talking about. That intelligence. So intelligence and ignorance, right? Not knowing.
Right.
But now you know a little bit more that, hey, I probably need to plan out the things that I'm doing no matter where it falls in our lives, because then I won't be so reactive. I would be, kind of prepared. I can, slow roll the decisions.
Right.
I can tap it off people.
Right.
So think about that. So you think about it now. If you want to have a little bit more intelligence in your journey, think about planning. Planning out.
Proper planning.
Yeah, not
Please.
right now. Right now is cool. Don't get me
Right.
wrong. We live in the present, but
Right.
boy, tomorrow is the future. We can still plan it,
You can.
right? So that being said, this weekend has been a great weekend.
It has.
The mentees has taught us a lot. The mentors taught us a lot. I think you put me to sleep. We meditate.
But I taught you how to meditate.
Yeah, and I'm sucking my thumb. Give me a pillow. Oh my God. Right? So here's your chance to tell the world a quote from you that's all yours for them to, at some point, they can pull it out. You know what? I heard this on Constructive Talks from that lawyer lady that told me the doggone plan.
A quote from me.
There you go.
A quote from me. I
And we
think
can talk
planning
through
is planning to me is key. So, because like I said, I do a lot of estate planning, and I said estate planning. This is what I always believe. So I believe that probably with everything is it creates order out of chaos.
Planning creates order out of chaos.
Because there's always going to be some chaos. But if you have, and we talk about this with estate planning, because if someone dies, it becomes chaotic.
Correct.
Just because people's emotions are involved. You have family members, you have a whole bunch of property or no property.
You
but
can't
there are things.
access accounts.
Right,
et cetera, et
so
cetera.
it becomes chaotic. The planning by having the wills in place or the trust in place, that's where the order comes in. Appointing somebody to handle that stuff, that's where the order comes in. So then even though that person may be going through chaotic internally because they're experiencing emotions and all that, they can still try to organize how this is going to go forward and make sure that family members are not so upset because things are a little bit more orderly.
Organized chaos.
Yes.
Right? So, hey, you heard it. Hey, Constructive Talks brings the best all the time in to talk. So remember, plan, and it helps kind of control or organize chaotic situations you may run into. And one of the cool things is we can plan out because we manage our day. We have say-so in our lives. So try to plan a little bit more so you don't have to be so reactive, and you can be, what they call that, proactive.
Proactive,
Yeah,
yeah.
I had to dig it out. Proactive, right? Hey, we love you. Remember, you want to give your website?
www.teasleylawgroup.com.
There you go. And it's going to be in the description below too, so you can click on it. Hey, guess what? If you want to plan, you got a professional lawyer right here to get you through that process. Hey, thank you for joining Constructive Talks. We look forward to talking to you again. Y'all take it easy. Man, welcome back. Hey, Constructive Talks. I got another one right here. Hey, these are heavy hitters. I tell you what, the Stewart Foundation is doing a retreat, like I said before in some of the other interviews. And, right now I'm talking to the student council, the cabinet. They got these big positions and shoes to fill, and titles to make sure they maintain the standard in the defined title. So right now I have Mr. Tyler. Guess what? A minute ago I did the president. Hey, right now, he was busy. But I got the VP because, the president always put all the responsibilities on the VP. That's just how it is. That's just nature, right? The president gets to chill. The VP has to work. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Tyler Hope. I'm the vice president of the Stewart Foundation Youth Cabinet. I've been a part of this foundation for going on 10 years now, and I truly love it. I'm a newly graduated senior, and I will be attending Georgia Tech in the fall.
Georgia Tech, man. Okay, Georgia Tech. So what we've been talking about is we're talking about the scale. On one side of the scale, the plate is ignorance, as defined, right? Just not knowing.
Not knowing.
On the other side of the scale is intelligence, right? And what we're talking about is how do we communicate with multiple generations? The older generation, I'm going to say the generation before my parents, their generation, and the youth, right? My generation and your generation. What are some ways you think that we can communicate to help everybody evolve into seeking more intelligence? And intelligence is researching, not being rigid in what you believe, or not just being guided by anything, or putting brand new work in. Because sometimes a person might say, hey man, I've been doing this too long to change. Right. Yeah. So what are some things or considerations you think we should take to make that intelligence side of the scale weigh heavier than that ignorance side of the scale?
I feel like a way that individuals can do that themselves is to look at, say there's ways that they've had in the past or for a long time. I feel like they should look at it as if not being afraid of changing the views because it's the way they've been living all their life, but understanding and accepting that the world is evolving, and along with it, viewpoints and society is evolving with it. So there are certain aspects in society that you can no longer, have certain opinions about, because that's not the way that we operate now. And I feel like people aren't okay with letting go also because the people they're around. I feel like people are afraid of being judged by others if they change their viewpoint because of the circle they put themselves in. And I feel like you should not be afraid to do that because, like I said, the world is ever evolving, and so should your mindset be.
Okay, that makes total sense because it's kind of like taking the same route to go somewhere
when a new road has been built.
And you can get there more efficiently.
Yes, sir.
But you're going to say, no, I've been going this way. I'm comfortable with it.
Oh, I don't know this new route. Even though it's faster, I don't know this new route. I don't care if it's more efficient. I'm going to stick to what I know. I'm going to stick to my, I forgot the saying, but I'm going to stick to my
ways. Just say your ways.
Your ways, yes.
And understand now. So think about what you're saying. So if I'm an advisor, if I'm a parent, if I'm somebody speaking into somebody else's life, I'm going to let them know, hey, no, the route that I'm going is the right way. Mm-hmm. If you don't do the route that I'm going, you're wrong. Think about that.
Yes, I feel like what someone should do, if they're on the more efficient route, I feel like the person that's on the route that they've known their whole time should, one, be open to new suggestions. They should be open to new opinions and understand that. Okay. But on the other hand, the person who takes that new route should understand that this other person, this is all they've known. Okay. They also need to be understanding themselves that you can't just change your whole viewpoint. You can't take a whole new road when you've been taking this other road for 30 years, because that's a big change. That's a big, that could be life altering in a way. Certain viewpoints can be life altering, how you move in society. So I feel like both sides should be understanding of how the other feels in this situation. But more so on the person on the old road should be more accepting of the new road, and the person on the new road should understand that that's their beginnings.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack. So let's say this right here. Let's say, so if I am a younger person, or I can even say younger, if I'm more on the ignorant side of not knowing there's a new route, but you know it, and like you said, I have to care about how to communicate with you and what you understand. So I need to be patient enough to say, you know what, they came up like this.
Yes.
They were raised like this.
Mm-hmm.
So my approach to convincing them to go the new route has to take that into consideration.
Yes, because they're not going to listen to you on that new route if you say, oh, your old way, it's stupid, and that's trash. This new route is amazing. You're dumb for following. They're not going to want to listen to you. You're not going to want to listen to, people will listen to criticism, but most people will not listen to negative criticism that's attacking them.
Yeah, defenses come up.
Exactly.
You know, and I think I was talking to somebody earlier, and I texted to myself, I said, we are inundated with conflict. Like TV, right? Hey, this is the bad side of town. This is, don't do this, don't do that. And politics and a lot of things are like the negative, it's the conflict. So automatically, like you said, if we're trying to advise somebody, youth advising, older, or older advising youth, we identify the conflict in it first, right? And we're like, man, hold up. Now, for one, I'm older, so you need to just be quiet.
Yeah. You don't.
And then the younger dude say, hey, I already know the way, so I'm not listening, right? So the conflict begins. So having that patience and understanding, hey, how do I listen and communicate if I care? And if I want to make enlighten that intelligent side, make it heavier, how do I do this?
How would you communicate? How would you enhance the communication?
Yeah, enhance it, right? Because so for now, let's just say this is a situation. Hey, Tyler, I'm not listening to you about that new route. So you're like, man, Lee, so how do I get to know Lee, like we talked about in the leadership last night, to be able to effectively communicate, to get him to see my way or see what I'm trying to accomplish, right? That's a process, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's a method you would use?
A method I would use is
Don't worry about it. Just ignore it, man, because you give him attention, he's going to get you.
I would say a way to help effectively communicate that is, one, like I said before, don't get aggressive at all. Aggression, like you
stay
said,
humble.
Yes, because that's going to put up defenses, walls, and you can't get past those barriers. Two, I would say, get on the other person you're trying to reach. Get on their level before you pull them to a new level.
Reach them at where they are. That's what they say, right?
You can't be, in a sense, above them on the cliff, and then they're slightly under you. You can't just pull your hand down and try and pull them up. No, you got to go down there and walk them up that path up there. You can't just pull them up.
Because they missed the journey.
Exactly.
They missed the in-between, so they still don't know how to come up.
And they don't know what's up there.
Correct.
So if you just pull them up that cliff, they don't know what's over that ledge, so you're going to have to go down there and take them through that journey to the top. And I feel like to do that, you have to get on their understanding. You possibly at least entertain their route, their old route, understand that way, then go back to them and compare them and try and, in a sense, dissect it, break it down, and show them why you truly think and why others may also think this new route would be better. And like I said, the other person has to be understanding of this evolving world.
So get over yourself.
Exactly.
Because it's not about you, because you're trying to lead.
And also, being on that older route, some people don't realize, but being on that older route can impact other people negatively. Impacting other people negatively on being on that older route, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to, in a sense, harm others mentally, physically, any way by being on that older way, and
it destroys your relevance.
In a sense. Because
then people say, hey, that's just the grumpy old dude.
Yeah.
I don't even listen to him, and so your local community will label you. So automatically when somebody, that's them, they're going to cut you off because you're on that old route. Is that what you're saying?
Basically, because remember, connections is the most important thing. And you're going to lose a lot of connections if you stay on the older route and be, in a sense, hard-headed and not want to at least entertain the thought of moving route.
Okay, so everybody we're talking about that scale. One side is ignorance, not knowing. The other side is intelligence, opening up and evolving into a growth mindset. And I'm not talking growth to benefit from it. I'm talking about just growth just to know, have a little bit more knowledge That way you can make it applicable to your days, your life, your decision making, and those around you. Is there anything you want to close with, Tyler? Tell the community, hey, about you, man. This is it. This is it. You got a quote? You want to give a quote for something? Your own quote.
Off the top of my head.
Yeah. Talk to them. Let them know.
Don't let fear define the person who you want to be.
Don't let fear define the person that you want to be. That's right. So you got to open up and allow information to help you make decisions. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in to Constructive Talks. Hey, the Stewart Foundation is doing this amazing youth retreat, mentorship, and the information is in the description below to get in contact with the Right Improvement Group. I look forward to talking to you. Take it easy. All right. Welcome back to Constructive Talks. We're up here, the Stewart Foundation. We're doing a youth mentorship weekend retreat, having a blast. And just like we talked about yesterday, we talked about the scale of ignorance in the one side, and the other side has intelligence. And ignorance, as we know, we already said it before, is that it's just not knowing. And intelligence is just something that we strive to open our minds to keep growing. And the question is, what are some considerations or some things that we should look at in intercommunication between the generations? Like the old folks that we call old,
Yeah.
and us, the younger, to be able to get synchronized enough to understand things evolve and change.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of the things we do, we'll stay, hey, I'm not changing, right? So we'll stay in that, and that's can be conceived as ignorance.
Right.
Because I don't want to change, I don't want to know, I just want to do it my way. So the intelligence part of the scale should outweigh the ignorance part, right? Why? Because time changes, it keeps moving. And it's probably the most disrespectful thing in the universe because it's not going to wait.
Right.
So what do you think we can do between the generations to communicate and to, ignite folks to just want to continue to grow so they can increase that weight of intelligence inside their space?
That's an excellent question, Lee. I think that the main thing that we need to truly focus on is putting in place generation wealth. What our parents had, we need to make better and then pass it along to our kids. We spend a lot of money on materialistic things. But what we really need to focus on, I think, is being able to pass along generation wealth from our kids on down to others.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's say that being the truth, right? That being the truth. So now understand a lot of things, perceptions are, hey, my mom and dad are the people I love are planning for my life to have financial security. Like, wait a minute. You have some responsibilities in that as well. The person does, right? Not just depending on mom and dad. Because one thing I know is that when people die, the true colors come out of family members.
Absolutely.
Brothers, sisters, cousins, friends. Hold up. No, she promised me that. Right? So one of the things that I think, and like you're saying, creating generational wealth resides in you. Because you have to start and you have to, how should I say, do something. I put it like this, okay? I know we're thinking out loud. One of the things that I say in one of my talks on Constructive Talks LRW on YouTube is, who's going to take care of you when you're old and gray?
Right.
And that's one thing I'm going to ask this morning because that's a legitimate question.
Absolutely.
Because we'll depend on everybody else but ourselves. Why? Because family.
Right.
Family takes care of each other. Well, family got their own things to take care of.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So what else do you think, you're saying wealth, generational wealth, because money talks, bull crap walks.
Right.
Right. So what are some ways that you would recommend doing that?
Well, I think that, one of the things, as you stated, we have to take care of ourselves and be better prepared financially. So that means making sure that when you pass, you have things in order. You have a will. You have information and instructions for your family so that there's not that big squabble
as to who gets what and where she promised me this. You've got it all laid out for your family members to act on your behalf when you are gone, as well as making sure that you have those finances in order, life insurance that you have prepared so that there's not a collection plate that has to be taken up on your behalf to get you buried and your final wishes, taking place, whatever that may be, that you have outlined everything, you have put a plan in place, and you have your finances in place to make sure that those certain things that you are requesting take place on your behalf.
Okay, and that's one of the things about. And so what you're doing is, see, you're making the weight of intelligence heavier, and lightening up the skill. I mean, well, the what did I call it? The we can edit. I can edit this.
Okay.
So what do you do?
Because he's in the
Go,
way.
man. Okay.
Yeah.
I can edit all this. Don't worry about it. Yeah,
Okay.
I can cut it.
Because he is like all in the way.
Cujo, go.
Yes.
Okay, so
Mark, call the dog. Thank you.
Oh my God, you rescued us. Okay, so one of the things that you're doing is, see, right now in this conversation, you're increasing the weight of the intelligence side of the scale and lightening the weight of ignorance.
Absolutely.
So now that sounded good what you said, right? It sounded real good and it makes total sense and it is the way to do it. But society is not teaching me in school to move those decimal points.
No.
In my math.
No.
So what are some things that we would recommend people raising children up or advising other people to take those baby steps to learn how to move that decimal and learn how to, how should I say, slice the pies of when they get money. Like, so one of the things that I've always done was say, hey, no matter what raise I get, I'm going to take 20% and invest, 10% for this, 8% is here, but it comes out automatically before I get my sandwich clamps on it. So what are some things you would recommend?
I think that we, as you state, need to take baby steps to get this accomplished. So knowledge is power. So even in our family, we talk about savings. We talk about, paying yourself first, putting away for the future. So I think that in your family or wherever your community is, it has to be that passing on that knowledge and sharing with those that are close to you in your family or in your community. And knowledge is power. So I think that when we know better, we do better. But I think for so long, those types of things haven't always been those things that we share, at the dinner table or when we're out as a family. But those things are vitally as important as anything else in raising your children. You've got to make sure that you show them and teach them how to swim and how to become, great parents and those things that are important to them.
Yeah. So one of the things that you do, right, I think, and you're 100% correct. So basically you're saying have constructive conversations.
Yes.
Let's not talk about gossip. Let's not talk about other people's lives and other people's stuff. Have constructive conversations that we can use daily in our lives and make it applicable to what we're trying to accomplish.
Absolutely.
Right? So,
Absolutely.
You know what? But a lot of times it's difficult to have constructive conversations.
Yeah.
Why? Because I think it's one of those things where everybody is, I don't want to look bad when I'm talking to my kids. I don't want to look bad when I'm talking to other adults. Right? So we're having fun.
We're having
all
fun.
Kind of stuff. Hey, we got Cujo right here.
That's right.
Anybody know Cujo? But so one of the things is sometimes it's difficult to have constructive conversations because judgment.
Yeah.
Everybody, well, you don't know what you're talking about. So immediately, I don't think we want to put ourselves out there at times because we don't want to seem like we don't know. But that's that courage. That's having the courage to say, hey, man, I don't know it all, but the little stuff I know, I want to share it because at some point you'll use it. You remember, like I said yesterday, that point that you get it?
Yes, the light bulb goes off.
Yeah, it goes off, right? Man, so what do you think? What could we do, right, to shake people to trust their judgment to be able to communicate it out at that dinner table? What are some of those things that I'll give you one, and then you can work off of it, right?
Okay.
Instead of buying the Big Mac combo, go to the dollar menu.
Absolutely.
right? Because that
Absolutely.
Big Mac combo is $15.
Yes.
The dollar menu, you get 4 items at Wendy's. I know for a fact for $4.
Yes.
I want to try that one day and see what I get. Right.
Right.
So, what do you think?
I think that's an excellent suggestion, and that's stuff that you need to when you have kids and if you're going to McDonald's, you look at the dollar menu versus that value meal. As we know, prices are high for everything, and just this weekend, pouring into our youth about money management, financial literacy, those things, eating healthy. So maybe instead of going to McDonald's, you go home and you kind of figure out how to make some vegetables, how to saute some spinach,
Family bun in the cooking, in the kitchen.
doing some cooking,
Yeah.
because as we know, that is not always the healthiest food at McDonald's.
Correct.
So learning how to kind of go home and cook a good family meal, wholesome meal, whatever that may be for your family, but having a vegetable, having a meat, having a starch or whatever, because as we know, McDonald's is not always the best choice for us. And health wise, we definitely have to be mindful of what we are putting in our bodies as well.
Okay, so we're talking about the scale. One scale is intelligence on one side and ignorance on the other. And ignorance is just not knowing.
Right.
I know we say ignorance is a bad word. I'm not ignorant. I know what I'm talking about. Well, yeah, maybe on some things, but not everything we don't. And that's what we communicate with those folks who know. And that's why I always will say, surround yourself with people smarter than you.
Absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely.
I know it's a challenge and you got to dig deep, but do it and you will learn more.
You will definitely learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. And put yourself in situations where you can get, this youth retreat has been incredible in the sense that we challenged our youth to make presentations as the mentees made presentations as well as the mentors made presentations. And I definitely learned from our mentees.
100%.
It was incredible that, the different types of leadership. So just sharing that information wherever you are, may not be at home. It may be in the, your youth foundation, wherever that you participate in, wherever you go. We want to just expose our youth to different things so that they can definitely, once they grow older, share that information and pass it along or pass it around to their friends. Because that's the thing. I truly believe that if we know better, we will do better.
100%. Especially when we surround ourselves with people trying to do better.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So the takeaway is, right?
Yes.
How do we get that scale? Intelligence, ignorance. We want ignorance way up, but light. Because the scale side of intelligence should be heavy, right?
Yes.
So we said, instead of going by the restaurant, every now and then, I understand time and work schedules. You get those things that you can sit with your family, slow down, or the people you live with, and create a meal together. Now, if you don't do anything else, I'm not going to talk about the outcome because everybody cook different. But if you don't do anything else, you're teaching the folks around you to sustain for themselves and not have to depend on stopping through a drive-through window.
Absolutely.
So that's what we'll say. That's one of the takeaways of increasing intelligence. Cook with your family, the folks around you.
Yes.
Have those good constructive conversations, man. It's okay not to know things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And
but be open to people, people that are trying to help you.
Correct.
Be open to that and be mindful that they only want the best for you and want you to not make some of the same mistakes that they have endured.
Correct. Every conversation is now a challenge on your pride.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Humble ourselves, right?
That's right. That's right.
So on that note, hey, thank you for joining Constructive Talks. Hey, we having a wonderful weekend up here mentoring the youth and the youth mentoring us on how to be kids. That's a good thing. So, hey, tune in, read the description below to get in contact. But remember, Constructive Talks, LRW, we're here to help make everybody's life a little better than yesterday. Do you have any closing that you want to say?
No, just be open and try to make it better for yourself as well as your family.
She's an expert in saving money. So if she's talking about saving money, hey, that's what she means. All right.
Absolutely.
You take it easy.
Thank you. Y'all have a blessed day.
Pause. Okay, welcome back to Constructive Talks. One of the cool things about that is, like I said, we're here doing the youth retreat with the Stewart Foundation. Mentors. That's me. Mentee.
That's me.
Hey, you see? but we're having a blast. I think she's teaching us, and the youth are teaching us more on what the youth see and mentoring us to understand. Never forget you were young, right? And sometimes we forget as adults. We think we just always been adults and know it all, but we don't. Sorry, that's why they keep us rooted. So, man, how does this retreat been for you?
This has honestly been a pretty good retreat for me. This is my second retreat, and
First, let everybody know your name.
oh yes, I'm sorry. So I am Kaylee Nelson, and I'm the secretary of the youth cabinet. And this is my second retreat. So far, this retreat has been pretty well for me. It's been more bonding experiences. I've been able to talk to my mentor more. The cabinet, we've been able to bond more, play different games together. It's just been like a lot of different experiences that we've had so far.
So, what's the funnest event that you've been part of so far?
The funnest thing that we've done wasn't even on the schedule. It was actually playing hide and seek. So yesterday we just decided, since we had a little free time, we decided to play hide and seek with the cabinet, and that was like a little bonding experience for us. Everybody was just letting their inner childhood come out, and that was pretty fun.
Yeah, and see the mentors are like, hey man,
They
I'm
were
too
tired.
old. I'm too old for hide and seek.
They
Let me
were
rest.
tired
Yeah.
of us, yeah.
And most of them was snoring anyway. They couldn't sleep. Okay, so the question I've been asking everybody is, you think of a scale, right? And on that scale, which Miss Mason just added something to it, perspective. That scale, on one side of the scale, you have ignorance, which is just not knowing. I don't know about that. I'm ignorant of the topic. Educate me, right? The other side is intelligence, right? And we always want to gravitate towards and make that intelligence side heavier than the ignorant side, because we want to know as much as possible, right? And I'll tell you what Miss Mason added after we talk a little bit more. But my question from that is, we have multiple generations, right? So how do we communicate throughout the generations? So think about me. You see me at that old dude, right? But guess what? I see my parents at that old dude, right? And of course they see their parents. But these generations exist amongst each other. You have the older generation, like the grandparents, and you have this, right? And it exists. So how do we communicate amongst each other, knowing what we know, knowing our distractions and everything? How do we communicate in a manner to lighten up that side of ignorance amongst us and gravitate and make that side of intelligence a little better? What are some considerations or some things methods, I would call them, that we may be able to take to open that communication?
So you're asking me, you're asking how does the younger generation better communicate with the older generation?
Yeah. For smarter, or how would you like to receive your communication to help make you smarter as well? So it goes both directions. You see.
So me personally, I feel like everybody should have like their say. So even if
Have their voice.
Yes, their
Okay.
voice. So when the older generation is trying to communicate how they feel, and it tends to like the younger generation has a different view on it, I feel like everybody should be able to say like how they feel and then talk about it. It shouldn't just be that like the older generation thinks that everything they say is right. Because like I understand that you have to listen to their elders because they know best, but at the same time, like everybody says, this is like a new time. Like not everything is gonna be the same how it was 40 years ago.
Correct.
Every day it's like something else is changing. So you just have to continue to let the younger people also teach you what you don't know.
Don't stay stuck in your ways.
Yeah, don't stay stuck in how everything used to be when you were our age. Because that's like the saying they always used to say, like, I was your age once too.
Yeah.
It's not the same when you were our age. Like, everything from when you were our age is not going to be the same from how we are now, you know?
Correct. Yeah, because it changes. It evolves, right? Because back in the day, they used to use the telegraph to communicate. But now, mobile phones, right? So society evolved with technology, but society also evolves in the required way to communicate, right? And one of the things that's diminishing is the sit-down conversations. It's mostly passing by.
Yeah.
You know, you'll pass by it and somebody will tell you something and you keep moving, right? So, and like she's saying, I would say that listening is the most important thing. Listen and understand that just because you don't know or haven't experienced it, it doesn't make it wrong. Is that what you're saying,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't make it wrong. So if you had the opportunity to let folks know and a call to action, right? And I want to, okay, give everybody first a quote, your own quote for them to be inspired by. Here you go.
Let's think about this. A quote to you guys from me would be, let things go. Like, don't let everything hold you back. Like, don't let all the things that's going on in your life hold you back. Once you learn to let things go, because I had to learn this myself. Once you learn to let things go, your life will be so much easier. Everything will start coming to you easier because you're not holding on to the past. So that's just how I feel on things. Like, once you learn to let go of the past, then your future will start coming to you easier.
Tell them how old you are.
I'm 16 years old.
Hold on now. A 16-year-old is telling everybody, old school, let go of the past. And she still has many, many days ahead of her, and she's already practicing this. So that's really, when you let go of the past, you get a little more intelligent because it opens up your mind. It's on things you don't have to worry about anymore. So you fill it with things that help you grow, right?
Yes. And
So
another thing,
go ahead.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you good.
Another thing is, everything in your past is a learning experience. So you just have to, that's what I say, you just learn from everything in the past. Like, everything happens for a reason. Even if you don't like what happened, even if you love what happened, it happened for a reason. So once you just let everything happen and play out in your life, then things will start, the dots will start connecting, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because everything you experience, you figured a way through it. That's the important lesson. What did I do to get through this? That, and not the thing that may be negative, but what did I do to get through it is the most important aspect that can be used to inspire somebody else, right? Okay, hey, thank you for tuning in to Constructive Talks. All the information will be in the description below. Hey, that's right. Hey, she's cooler than me. Like, hey, I'm a nerd, right? So have fun with your day. Anything you want to close with?
Have an amazing day, everybody.
What? All right, later.
Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
Hey, she's hired. All right, take it easy. Hey, everybody, Lee Wright, Constructive Talks. We're at this Stewart Foundation Youth Mentorship Retreat. And I have, the one and only right here, Mr. Major Goggins. And, he's one of the mentors. And he has a pretty unique career and life experience from what he does working with youth in his business sector. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
First of all, good morning. And I would like to start off just by giving praises to the Almighty God who is at the head of my life. And my career spans several decades in security, law enforcement, restaurant management, just trying to find my way through this thing that we call life and trying to be a successful businessman, successful father, and mentor, trying to give back to the youth of this community and just try to spread as much knowledge as I possibly can. In my career, I've run across youth from all walks of life, from the wealthy to the poor to the undereducated to the super educated to just people, young people from all walks of life trying to find their way through this thing that we call life and trying to figure out exactly where they fit in and what they need to do to make it from point A to point B. So, and in my walks, I've discovered that a lot of them have it figured out. They know what they want to do. They know what they need to do to get from point A to point B. And then I've run across some who don't have a clue, who are just living for the moment and need some direction. So those are the ones that I typically try to spend a few more moments with to let them know that they need to develop a plan in this thing that we call life, and that they need to be working at this plan daily, every day. And then the most important thing is every day that they're not working towards this plan is a day lost, and that's a day that we cannot get back.
Okay. Man, I tell you what, being in security and you know how the stigma of law enforcement is in today's
Right.
society, right? Like, hey,
Right.
it's focused against certain demographics,
Mm-hmm.
like the poor, well, folks that don't make enough money, I'll put it like that, or folks that are undereducated, folks that are a different hue and skin color.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things about, what Major is talking about is being that advocate and seeing um, and identifying those areas and doing his best to kind of navigate, to communicate and try to reach them. Man, I can remember when I had no clue growing up.
Right.
You remember that?
Oh yeah.
Man, what?
Uncertain as to what direction I wanted to go
Yeah,
and what I needed to do, but I knew that I needed to do something.
yeah,
I knew that I enjoyed having money.
yeah.
But there was a point in my life where I wasn't certain as to how to go about getting it and what to do with it once I did get it.
And I'll say this right here. So think about what you were saying about not having that clue, but society wants us to have a clue as soon as possible, right?
Correct. That
Or
is the expectation.
yeah, like,
Correct.
hey, you need to have a clue. You're this
Yes.
age,
Right.
And what did we grow up on? Once you're 18, hey, you got to
know,
go,
right.
and you need to get your stuff
Right.
together.
Right.
And usually, a parent didn't even start really holding you accountable to that to about 10th, 11th grade. You need to
Correct.
start having some answers.
Mhm.
But I can attest, man, I was still clueless.
Right.
Right, I was just trying to
Right.
make the grade when I went to school that day, right?
That is true.
So
That is true.
so let me say this. So what do you think? Because earlier we were talking about, me and Jesse was kind of talking, and I came up with this thing about the scale. So one scale, and I'm pretty straightforward on what I do, right? One side of the scale plate is intelligence.
Right.
The other side is ignorance,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
So let's say that. Let's say, one side of the scale is ignorance and one side is intelligence. And we have to understand that fact.
Right.
Right? If we say, okay, now what can we do and what are some things, and I don't want to say that could benefit the youth, because one thing that we were talking about is everything is not about making something like a profit or gaining.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's just about the evolution of enlightenment and knowledge, right? So, and we can say, man, every day that, man, you're not as good as our generation.
Right.
And our parents will say you're not
Right.
as strong as our generation.
Right.
And the grandparents say, so they see the evolution of where society makes it easier on everybody with technology, conveniences, right? They had a wood burning stove back in the day, and you had to go cut the wood.
True.
So you had to find the forest to cut the wood to
True.
get in there. And
True.
so, what do you think are some things that can help assist with the evolution of, making that plate of intelligence on that scale a little heavier than the scale plate of ignorance on that side of the scale?
Well, I think one of the most important factors in society is that you simply have to care.
Yeah.
You understand? If you run across or if you encounter someone who is not, pulling their weight, or someone who has not progressed as far as they should have, you have to care enough to engage that person and find out what the issues are, what it is that's holding that person back, and you have to care enough to inject the things that you've been through into their life so that they can overcome whatever obstacles that they've run into, and try to help that person out, try to help them to become more successful, and try to help them to achieve their own goals.
Major man, I tell you, right? So when we had those leadership discussions last night, and that's dear to me, because think about when you were, a young fella man, you only needed one or two leadership traits. You needed to be maybe one or two types of leader. A lot of things got done because the
Right.
community was on that. They understood that, hey, to get it done, you either do this or that. So
Right.
that's how it grew the economy.
Mm-hmm.
But during that time, like we say, as society, we get a little smarter, make things a little easier. Now with so many principles, traits, and so many types of leader, man, it's confusing,
Right.
right?
Right.
So let's say what you just said, that, you know, caring. Caring is the cornerstone. If you care, you listen.
That's true.
If you care, it's not about you.
That's true.
If you care, you understand the things that, hey, man, what's being communicated to you, and you reach back out because you need to know my language if you care.
That's true.
So you can't come to me with your language
Right.
because your language might run me away
Might be something totally different.
because you're the last generation
Exactly.
and you see it that way because that's how you came up and made
Right.
your way.
And because it worked for me,
That's right.
you understand?
That's right.
And that's why we have to, and that's where the caring comes in. Because you have to sit and decipher that person's lifestyle, what that person has been through. But all that comes through caring.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you care enough to take it in and determine what you can do to try to help this person turn around, and it may be a conversation.
Correct.
You understand? I've had conversations with many of young men, and when they left with something.
Yes. 100%.
And the most gratifying aspect for me was just a simple thank you.
That means a lot. That's appreciation.
It's because it meant that I was able to reach them in a very short period of time with something positive, something effective, and something that's going to make a difference.
And you say that. Let me play on that. Short period of time. Patience. Because it might take more than one conversation.
True.
Baby steps.
True.
Why? Because you need to understand, like that Duolingo, you're not going to learn that new language in one iteration.
No.
It takes a lot of baby steps to get it, and those baby steps is going to bring trust.
Right.
Right. So that person's going to trust you a little bit more because they can understand what you're saying a little better, and they can see it. So they're going to trust. So that means your care will be on fertile ground.
Right.
Right? And your messaging, and then you can mentor, guide, and inspire. Right? But that carrot is definitely, man, a lot comes with that.
Well, like you said, caring is a cornerstone, and it's a foundation in which you can build upon on your road to success.
Yeah, 100%. Well, man, I tell you what, you got anything to say to anybody about, to the youth or to the adults? Because we mentor in everything we say and do, and how we, conduct our day, our moments, right? Moments.
Well,
you got anything to say?
I think one thing that I would like to leave with every young person out there today in 2024 is that no matter where you are in life, no matter what you've been through, the one thing that you can do no matter where you are is you can always teach somebody something. Somebody hasn't been through what you've been through. Somebody isn't where you are in life. So there's something that you can offer to everyone out there to help them further along down the road.
Okay. Hey, so everybody, you hear it. Hey, thank you for tuning in. Man, care. So this conversation boils down to care, and that's how we get that scale, that we want that intelligence to be heavier on that scale than ignorance. And we're gonna roll with that from in all the conversations now. It's gonna be about caring first. And caring brings patience within you. Not them, you. Understanding, baby steps, communication, and planning that process in a person or even within yourself that grows into something that flourishes. So thank you for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon. Later. Wow. Welcome back to Constructive Talks. I tell you what, man, here at this retreat, mentoring the youth with the Stewart Foundation, it's pretty cool. It's amazing. They're teaching us as we're teaching them. So, it goes both directions. We're all learning. So I would say this right here. Introduce yourself, please, sir.
My name is Kyle Nelson. I'm in the 7th grade, and I go to Champion Middle School, and I'm
Okay.
the treasurer of the Stewart Foundation.
The treasurer. It's all about the Benjamins, right? He's in charge of the decimals. So tell us, how long have you been with the foundation?
I've been with the foundation since 2022, I think, and I just became an officer this year. So,
About 2 years.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what's been some of an experience that you can just remember, man, that it was profound and you're like, man, I'm glad I had that experience.
Probably at this retreat we're at right now.
Okay. Man, I tell you what, one of the things about this retreat is that the youth challenge, they're very challenging, and you're forced to listen because inside those messages, inside them communicating, you learn what they're experiencing in their life. Usually, as adults, we've been there, done that, and we won't experience the youth life again. And we think we know it, but understand it, we won't experience it again. It's just not going to do it. So we need advocates, you know, like Mr. Nelson right here, to keep us rooted in understanding and listening. Okay, so I've been asking everybody this question. So think of a scale. One side you have, well, this side you have ignorance, which is just not, just I don't know, just not knowing something, right?
Yeah.
On this side you have intelligence, right? And we always want the intelligent side to outweigh the ignorant side by doing research and learning and growing and surrounding yourself with positive people. But now we also have multiple generations, right? We have you, and I know you see me as the old people. So I see my parents, my dad, them as old people. But one thing that we have to do in order to empower a generation is to be able to communicate. So what are some ways you think we can communicate with each other to help make and empower a generation? And understand, I'm not just saying empower the younger generation. I'm talking about empowering the older generation too, because we have to always evolve and become more intelligent. What do you think?
I think this is like the place where mentors and mentees come in. So, yeah, this is basically why like they exist. So the older people, they can have like younger like. Can we start?
Yeah, you can restart. Talk up.
All right. I think this is the part where mentors and mentees come in because the younger people, they can get the wisdom from the older people, so they will like connect more. And yeah.
So, man, it's funny that you say wisdom because Miss Mason talked about earlier. She added she added another arm to the scale. So it was ignorance, intelligence, and if you use intelligence in a constructive manner, it's called wisdom. And you're right, Mr. Nelson, wisdom, man. Because you just don't want somebody we don't want, regardless of what the generation is. You don't want somebody just talking to you because their intelligence on a certain topic. You want them to be able to navigate that communication journey or path with wisdom, something the person can take and implement or look at it as they consider their life journey. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now, this is what we always do, man. You get to give your quote to the world. Your quote that you created. You know how we hear all these quotes and slogans and stuff?
Yeah.
Now, you get to give your quote to the world to inspire them, older and younger generation.
You only live once, so I say live it up, live life to the fullest, and yeah.
He said, yeah. Hey, live it up, live life to the fullest in a constructive manner. Because, hey, dedicating yourself to the Stewart Foundation Youth program, hey, you're held accountable. You held accountable, right? So that's what he's talking about. Live it up and enjoy your growth towards that intelligent side of the scale, and try to minimize and lighten up that ignorant side by doing vast research, vast patience, understanding, listening. Is it anything you want to close with, Mr. Nelson?
I think that's about it.
That's about it. Hey, thank you for joining Constructive Talks. The information will be in the description below, and we look forward to talking to you again soon. Other than that, you take it easy. Later. Okay, hey, we're back. We're still having this amazing time with the Stewart Foundation at the Youth Mentorship Retreat. And what have I been asking everybody? Today we've been on the same topic of, this weekend, of the scale. One side of the scale is ignorance. The other side, the ignorance is just not knowing. Not a bad word, right? And the other side is intelligence. That means always growing and always finding new ways or perceptions on things to consider just to make yourself a little smarter about things so you can give it back, right? So now the question is, I had to fight security again. But the question is, we live in a multi-generational society. We have the youth, we have us, which we're old to the youth, and we have, our parents, which are old to us, right? So what is a way that we can make communicating in this environment a little easier? What are some methods or considerations that we could take to be able to have those multiple generations listen to each other a little bit?
I think it definitely starts with us going back to the old traditions from our elders. One, starting with courtesies, starting with respect. And I say that because oftentimes I see the young kids, even in front of us and the elders, just totally not respecting them and not understanding how important that is to respect your elders. Just putting the basics back in place and making sure that we are all doing what we should do as communities, period.
Okay. And leading out with respect.
Leading out with respect.
As the foundation.
As the foundation,
okay.
Yes.
Now, I apologize because she knows better than this. Introduce yourself.
I'm sorry, I am Aquila McIntosh. I am the Youth Liaison Director for the Stewart Foundation.
Okay, all right, that's great. So, answer this question. So, since I think what you said was pretty amazing about how we can reduce the stress and communicate amongst multiple generations. So, what would you say would be one of the most dynamic statements to make as one of the old people for the youth? So, I'm going to say we're the old folks, right? What could we do to help make that process a little easier?
To help make that process a little easier, we can try our best to engage with the youth, meaning to learn what they like. So we will have some common interest with the youth in order to allow them to feel comfortable enough to speak with us, to share with us, so that we can learn from them what they like, and also in those conversations they can learn from us. Because like you said, sometimes it's just a matter of ignorance, just not knowing. But if they know, because the way they are being taught now is a lot different than when we were.
Correct.
When we were taught based on our environments. Their environments are different. A lot of it's based on social media. And there's not a whole lot of respect on social media. It's
Correct.
kind of the competition. So I think them knowing what is expected of them will help to bridge that gap.
Okay. So you heard it, old folks. Me.
Me.
Yeah. Hey, listen to them. Understand what makes them tick, and that'll help us communicate with them better. So don't be rigid and stuck in our ways. We can't do that. Okay. So now, everybody has to give their own personal quote to the world to inspire folks to call to action.
Call to action. Reach out to someone. It's always a matter of doing something for the least of these. And if that happens to be a youth, absolutely do your part.
The least of these deserve support without request, and I know you can do it. Thank you for tuning in to Constructive Talks. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you later. Okay, wow, man. Hey, it's been another wonderful day. Welcome back to Constructive Talks. And we're still here. Hey, we're still doing great things with the Stewart Foundation. We got the weekend retreat with mentoring the youth of the council. They all have, legitimate board positions, from president to secretary to treasurer, etc. And one of the things that we always like to do is we introduce the guest first. Tell everybody about yourself.
My name is Jonathan Moore. I'm event chair for the Stewart Foundation, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
So, what kind of hobbies do you have? Okay, no, my bad, because
Yeah.
I'm excited right now.
Okay.
I got the one and only. Like I said, hey, they have security, and it's hard to get them to come out and do these things. You have to get through security. Calm down, okay, security. So, okay, continue telling us a little bit about yourself.
I'm an art major at Stillwell. I'm focusing on videography, photography, and just art in general.
Okay, man, so he is very creative. I'm talking about art, man, visual art, sound art, and how he creates his. What's your YouTube channel?
Project 9.
Project 9. So go to Project 9 on YouTube, and you're going to see some of the work he's doing. Please go there, okay? So one of the things that I've asked everybody, you know that scale, right? You know the scale that has the chains and the plates. So one side of the scale has ignorance on, which we know ignorance is just not knowing things, right? I just don't know.
Yeah.
And the other side of the scale has intelligence on it, right? And one of the things we always want to do is make sure that intelligence side is heavier than the ignorant side, right? Not knowing. We always want to know and open our minds to discover. So the question is, as we think about that, is we have multiple generations that exist that's alive today. We have the younger folks, which is you, and I know you look at me as the old dude. Hey, that's the old people. So
Yeah.
I look at my father and my parents and folks I know as the old people. So what are some ways you think that we can, bridge that communication gap and get everybody kind of on the same, close to the same voice to be able to empower a generation to move them forward, and we make that side of that intelligence side of the scale heavier.
Yeah.
What are some ways or considerations you think we should do?
I think it's very difficult to change people. I mean, there's always a chance, but it's a willingness from both sides to have an open dialogue, have a talk about hard subjects and changing, and it's very hard for older people sometimes, and even younger people.
Correct.
But I think the best way is to have a safe space where you can talk about stuff like
No
that.
judgment.
No judgment at all. And where you have to enter it willing to change and willing to grow and understand a different side and different perspective.
Wow, man, willing to change, willing to grow.
It's hard though.
That could be difficult.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we, no matter the age, youth or older folks, we kind of get stuck in our ways, thinking, hey, no, I know what I'm talking about. I know this is the solution.
Yeah.
I know this is the direction and the path to get to that solution.
There's always a different way to solve a problem. It's like math. You can do it 100 different ways, but it's that willingness, it's that commitment to grow.
So, okay. Man, I like this conversation. That tells you he's an artist and he does this type stuff, where these constructive conversations are vital to our existence, but also vital to our growth, right? Constructive conversation. So, in order to do that, a person has to first slow down, not multitask, say, hey, I'm going to get into a conversation. Let me participate. And the best way to participate is what?
Sitting down and talking.
And listening.
Yeah. Sitting down and talking and listening.
Listening, right? And I think one of the mentors last night, Miss Mason, said, hey, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Because we're supposed to at least listen twice as much as we talk.
Yeah.
Right? So what are some ways that we could... So I want you to think of one topic that's important to you that you would like to get people to listen to you about.
I've been working on this one project dealing with sexuality and identity, and I know gay people, I know straight people, I know that whole area, and I want people to listen to change their perspective when it comes to faith, when it comes to sexuality, when it comes to identity. I want people to sit down and take the time to learn about somebody else.
You know, one of the things about that is, if I'm going to sit down and listen, the first thing I have to do is not compare my knowledge to what I've been taught or what I've learned. So that means I must be non-judgmental in my hearing process.
And that's hard for people. It's hard trying to come in like with an even playing ground. It's hard to come in with no bias behind it, because we judge everything. No matter what, you always judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
It's hard to not judge a book by its cover.
To open the pages and start reading.
Yeah. Because I guess it's just how we're raised up and how we are grown as people in the community is to judge. It's that separation between race. It's that separation between gender. It's that separation between everything, every aspect of our society and our world.
And one of the things I write about in my book series, my bubble opinion, is the cultural conditioning. That's what you're talking about. We're culturally conditioned to judge. We're culturally conditioned to look at the negative before the positive. We're culturally conditioned to say, that ain't right, because I wasn't taught that.
Yeah.
That ain't right, because I never heard that. That ain't right, because I never seen that before. Think about that. Think about a lot of times the miscommunication comes because we didn't experience it with the open mind.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that goes into kind of what you're talking about in your passion to get those voices heard, is that, hey, don't judge me before you open my cover.
Yeah. It's important to get these stories. It's important to hear a different perspective before it's too late, before it's gone. All the stories your grandma could have told you before she left the world. All the stories your friend could have told you before he moved away. It's important to hear that. And I like documenting that.
So the crazy part is, this is our second time kind of being this close together. The first time I was a stand-in mentor, you remember?
I think so.
That time, right? Back when we went to the first briefing that you had. Remember we had the contracts?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
You remember? Yeah, you adopted me as a mentor, right? Like, oh, yes, thank you for accepting me. And we have the same passion. If anybody's listened to Constructive Talk, you know I always say, write your Bible. Your legacy is in the Bible you write and that you leave back verbatim. Now,
yeah.
If you interview somebody or you're talking to somebody, that's a Bible that can be used, knowledge that can be used for another generation.
Yeah.
And it's verbatim. It's not watered down.
Yeah.
It's not created or shaped to influence folks that don't know. It's straight from that. So I say the Bible because you have to do multiple episodes. You have to do multiple iterations, and you build that over time, like how to handle your finances, how to, when you're sad or disappointed, how to work through that. The things that you did or, the things that got you through. So what would you say, right, if you had to tell the world right now, this is your opportunity to give a quote to the world, right? Your own personal quote. What would you tell? What would be your call to action?
My call to action. Oh, wow.
Hey, you see, this is a raw video, man. We don't rehearse. It's straight.
It's going to take me a minute.
Okay. Go ahead. Talk through it. We got time. Talk through it.
I always live by the thought of being who you are, being not judgmental, being open to change, being not giving hate and you won't receive it.
Well, you might receive it, but not let that be you.
Yeah.
You always give good, right?
Yeah. I think you're gonna be here for a minute.
No, you're saying it. Just talk through it. So while he's thinking through it, so think about that. Think about what he's already saying as he shaped his quote. Is that?
Yeah, he was on your foot for a minute. That wasp.
Was he? Man, you supposed to let me know, dude.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God! I'm allergic to bees.
I got stung by a wasp one time,
and it hurt.
Still terrified of wasps.
It hurt. Yep. So we're fighting. Hey, we're in nature, man. Hey, we're mushy. Oh my God, bees. But I'm allergic to bees. So, but just think about it like this.
You touched the wasp with your bare hand.
Okay,
That's crazy.
there you go. So think about it like this. So while he thinks about his quote, he's talking about from his initial, as he's brainstorming with himself, it's just being good. Be good in your space. I think I talked yesterday about be actively select the people that you call friend, the people that you share space with in your intimacies. And intimacies is not sexuality. I'm not even talking about. I'm talking about things that make you, your essence. That should be intimate to yourself. As you select those, make sure you create a good environment bubble around yourself. That's important. And you know what? You have say so in that. So as he talk about being good and he talk about safe spaces to help shape his quote, and you don't even, I tell you what, I'm gonna give you.
I think I don't really have a quote. It's more of a statement.
Yeah.
But grow. My statement is to grow before it's too late. We're on this planet for so short of a time. It's in the scheme of things, everything's so short, and I never want people to not grow. I never want people to not grow. Never stop growing. Never stop growing.
Okay, grow before it's too late and never stop growing. That's critical. You know why? Because time is disrespectful. It's going to keep on moving no matter what you have going on.
Yeah.
And it's not going to give you time to reset. It's going to say, hey, well, it's not going to give you time to continue what you started. It's like, you need to start again. You got it in you? So that's what he's saying, grow. And that's what we talked about earlier. That scale, ignorance and intelligence, it's a growth process where you want that intelligent side to outweigh the ignorant side of not knowing. I appreciate it, man. Hey, thank you. Hey, thank everybody for joining Constructive Talks. Hey, remember, Project 9 on YouTube. This man is doing great things. Go check it out. And him and I are going to collaborate on some things. Why? Because youth and old people need to combine. And that's what we're just talking about now. How do we get those voices and generations to talk? And this is one way. Hey, look in the description below. Get all the information to the StewartFoundation.com, to Constructive Talks. And I'm going to put his link, Project 9, in there as well. Look forward to talking to you again.
Bye.
Okay. Wow, man. We're still here at the retreat, the Youth Council retreat. Having a blast, mentoring the youth mentoring us. And one of the questions I had, and I'm asking everybody's always kind of tracking, welcome back to Constructive Talks, is that the scale, and on one plate of the scale is ignorance, right? And ignorance is just not knowing. That's it. I think we've made it a bad word, but of course, if we're striving to do better and grow, we understand ignorance is okay, right? And the other side is intelligence, right? And we always want that scale of that plate of intelligence to outweigh that side of ignorance, right? And how do we do that? We research, we have constructive conversations, and we surround ourselves with folks. So my question has been is that we got multiple generations, the folks that we call old, right? And I break it down into trimesters, I do. Your first 30, your second 30, and that 30 that, hey, you appreciate living, right? 60 and above, you appreciate those days. Hank, I think one of the things you said was, I got more days behind me than I do in front of me, right? So what do you think could be some good communication processes or recommendations or considerations for each generation to kind of communicate to each other to make that side of intelligence outweigh that side of ignorance and not knowing in order to grow and change a generation to do a little better each day?
I think, young people want to be around adults and seniors when they're young. I mean, think about it. Young children gravitate to be around mommy and daddy, hang around their older siblings, and we kind of shun them.
Wow, you're right.
We shun them. We push them away. We have them doing nothing. We drop them off at the daycare. We drop them off at the babysitter. We drop them off.
Yeah.
And so by the time, it was a song, rocks in the cradle and the baby in the moon, man in the moon, and won't you come home again, that, And so the dad has been, putting his son off for years.
Okay.
And now the age is flipped, and the dad wants his son around.
Oh, wow.
Cats in the Cradle. It's a song. You should listen to it. And so now all of a sudden the dad wants the son around, and the son don't have time for the dad now
because he's busy.
Because he's busy now. But if the daddy would have spent the quality time with his child early on, it wouldn't be so much of a task for the child to be around the dad. Right. And so I think one reason why we see that ignorance is because and that disconnect between the generations is because we have totally pushed our children away. We don't spend as much time as we really need to spend with them when they're young, so they can continue those generations and those conversations, intergenerational conversations can take place. So if we spend more time together, if mommy and daddy is with their children as much as they possibly be, when their children are babies and then they go into toddlers and then, early on, then it's not hard to get them to hang out with you a little bit more, and, if you carve out time, family time, at least have dinner together.
Correct.
Push no phones at the dinner table. Turn the TV off. You don't eat in your room. We eat together. Then you got an opportunity to have a conversation today about civil rights, human rights, women's rights.
Correct.
And health.
Correct.
Arts, sports. You have whatever. I mean, think about how many days you eat dinner. 365 days a year.
Correct.
So there's a whole lot of topics that you can cover. That everybody's topic can be there. But you're growing the family. You're growing that intellect. Right. Let the children bring a topic to the table during dinner. We're going to discuss today.
Correct.
And so I think we gotta be conscious. It's got to be a conscious effort to be more engaging with our young people. There's one of my favorite quotes is a quote by Stokely Carmichael that says, "It is the responsibility of the conscious to make the unconscious conscious of their unconscious behavior."
Wow. Not knowing. And I call those auto actions. Right. And one of the auto actions I always go to is whenever we set a dinner table, we always put spoon, knife, fork, even if we eating soup. That's an unconscious action, right? And it's two things. Let me say two things about what you said. One of them is, if you want them to do it, you have to teach them how to do it, right? That's sitting down, having that constructive conversations, and they'll get used to it and they'll mimic.
So UPS had a quote that says, in management, what you learn first, you learn best, and you remember the longest.
That makes total sense.
What you learn first, you learn that best, and you remember that longest. Now, that means you can't change that habit, but it's harder to change it. Because what you learn first, you learn best, and you remember that the longest. So if we teach you the right way to do something the right way the first time, if I stop you and say, no, that's not the right way to do it. If I teach you and make sure that you get the fundamentals down, I don't have to worry about you, because now you learned that first, you learned that best, and you remember that the longest.
And you know what, Hank, you said something as well that we all do every day. We drop our children off, or we drop people off to school. That's about 8 hours or 9, depending how early you got to be there. We drop them off at daycare. We drop them off over relatives, over friends, at the movies, at the mall. But then guess what? We expect for them to be seasoned when we get them back.
That's exactly right. I get so frustrated with us because we expect our children to do right, and we haven't taught them to do right. So you got to teach. Every day is a teachable moment. Every day is a teachable moment. And one of the best ways to be a teachable moment is the way you live your life. If I show up every day on time, one of the things that you and I know we share in common, we're early. We're early, folks. If it's an 8 o'clock start time, we're there at 7:30, 7:15, 7 o'clock. We're not getting there at 7:55 because that's too close for us. Unless you tell me, and this is who we are, Lee, you'll say, well, look, I'm going to be a little late because I'm coming from somewhere. Now, I get that. But if we've agreed upon a time, the time is 7:56. We're not getting there at 7:56.
No.
We're not. We might be sitting in the parking lot making phone calls, doing some other stuff, but we're not getting there. And so, again, we can't get mad at children if they see you late all the time.
Correct.
If you're late all the time,
that's normal
to them, right?
That's normal,
right? No rush, and then we've made it. We come up with this terminology, fashionably late. So you go to a party and people intentionally they give you a 8 o'clock start time in the evening, 8 p.m., 9 o'clock or whatever, and they come at 12:30 at night. And I've left many parties that I've been invited to because the host wanted to make a grand entry, but you gave us a time.
Yes, sir.
To be 100%. There. right?
100%.
And so now you don't even value my time because I'm in the room in a lot of cases with people I have no idea who they are. So I'm sitting there waiting on the guest of honor because I don't know everybody else.
Correct.
And I'm
Yeah.
just sitting there waiting because you gave me a time of what time you wanted me to be there.
That's frustrating.
It is. It's very for me. It is.
Yeah, 100%. But that's where you go. See, now think about what you said. If you have these expectations and you drop the youth off or people off all the time and expect them to be groomed and understand this, but you don't show it, they just going to go off what you show because
Exactly
there's no accountability in there.
Exactly right.
There's no accountability in there.
100%. You're 100%
Right?
correct.
So let's say that. So okay, so that scale of that plate of intelligence increases when you have a little bit more patient and understand. And I'm gonna call it the drop off. When you drop something off and expect it to be perfect when you get it back or real good, but you didn't have anything to do with the grooming of it. Now think about that. So if we have these things, and I know we're busy, we're doing things, but take that little moment of time and be involved in that grooming. And part of that involvement is self-accountability.
Oh, no doubt. I think you have to be strong enough to hold your own self accountable. You have to be able to tell yourself that I need to do better, right? And I think most people, it's easy for us to point and say, Lee, man, you need to do this better. But it's hard for us to look in the mirror,
correct,
and tell ourselves to do better. And you know yourself better than anybody else. And there are a lot of times where there are people who can sit, you can sit here and say, Hank, I really appreciate you do this, and this. But I know I didn't do that right. I know somebody else did that. I'm taking credit for it.
No.
You understand my point?
That ain't right.
Right, that's not right. So you need to know, you have to be honest about things that you do yourself. And accountability, I try to hold myself. Today is day 2,719 straight workout days.
Woo!
Right, 2007. I haven't missed a day since December the 30th, 2016. Now I have people say you ain't worked out. I said I'm not even arguing with you because I know what I've done.
Yeah.
So I ain't got to convince you because it does me no good, Hank Stewart, to lie about my workout every single day. Why would I need to lie to you to just I don't have to do that. And so I'm not going to argue with anybody. I had a friend one time. I was riding a bike and I would do bike riding every now and then, and I had my ride mapped out on an app, and it told the amount of miles that I had ridden in the amount of time. They said, "You didn't do that." Okay, I'm not going to argue with you because I know what I did.
I don't have a drone doing it. Right?
I ain't got to convince you of what I know.
So let's say that. Okay, so you see how the measure of society is that I can be unaccountable or irresponsible, but hold you accountable to make me happy with what you're doing for yourself,
or not to make you feel as bad
that is correct.
To make you not feel as bad about
That is correct.
Sometimes when I have to be real careful when I'm giving that date because sometimes people. It's not that they're not happy for me. It makes them feel bad about themselves.
Wow.
Right. So sometimes, and I'm real careful that sometimes there are things that I don't always share. There's awards that I don't always share.
Yeah.
And not just with friends, with family too. I mean, some family members, and so you have to be a little careful because some people are not in that same space. And so they're not hating on you. They're just not happy with their own life, and it might come out as hate.
Hey, that is so true, man. So let's think about that. So let's think about that intelligence scale and that ignorance scale, right? And ignorance is just not knowing. I always repeat this so people, depending when you come in this video, you're tracking what we're talking about. Man, that's a display of intelligence because if you know your room, you can't always share everything because the society is built on negativity, and they'll say, "Hey, you're just being selfish, trying to show that you're better than us, being fashionable with the hard work you put in, right, and the sacrifices you made." And think about it, everybody. You can't share everything with everybody. Not that everything you do shouldn't be applauded, right? But some things just keep to yourself because everybody don't want to hear it.
And the other part of that too, Lee, is you have to have a healthy balance because there are some people who are looking at you like when Lee does this, I'm motivated by that.
Correct.
Right. So so you have to be, I think, a little bit more strategic about the spaces in which you share.
That's right.
Prime example. So because I can't share my workout on my page and on Facebook every time because there's some people like, oh, there he go again. And I've had people with the subliminal underlying message. I joined a workout group that is it's popular to share your
Yes,
your
100%.
you understand? So when I go and post in there, ain't nobody saying, there you go again. Well, everybody in there is working out.
Correct.
So they're applauding you, they're clapping for you, and
Mhm.
it's authentic. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
organic. You know, it's a real clap. And so you just have to you have to choose your audiences. You know, and I think once you start doing that, and I'm talking about workout, but that's a life thing.
100%.
You know, there are people in your life who, you know, I say this to people all the time, and I said to young people, everybody applauding for you, everybody clapping for you, are not applauding.
Correct, sir.
Some
100%.
people, some people got the slow clap.
Yeah, like
And yeah, they mad with every slow clap they giving you.
Yeah.
And there are some people, and there are people who don't even know you who are inspired by your story, and they really clapping
Correct.
because it gives them hope. It gives them something to shoot for. It gives them motivation. It inspires them.
Yes.
And so you have to be real careful. And so I'm 60 years old. I'll be 61 in September.
He's in
And
the
so-
third trimester.
Yeah, I'm in my third trimester. I'm in the third.
That's
and,
right.
And so you know, I'm hoping to have a fourth because I'm hoping
Yes,
to beat
sir.
that 90, and then so I hit
Yes,
a fourth.
sir.
You know,
Right. Yes,
because
sir.
my mom beat it, my grandmother beat it. You know, and some of my mentors are still there right now.
Mhm.
Dr. You know, Ambassador Andrew Young, Ms. Anona Clayton. You know, Dr. Lowry did 99. Dr. Vivian did 94.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
and I'm sorry, 95 before he transitioned. You know, so I'm hoping to beat that. But you know, but I say that to say as you get older, you start to you wisen up. You hope
Yes,
you
sir.
wisen up about
100%.
some things, and so you know, for me, it's you know, I don't always have to be in a room full of people anymore. You know, I'm okay by myself. I'm okay thinking. I'm okay with young people and learning and trying to pour. There's an African proverb that says, "When an elder dies, a library just burnt down." So I'm okay with trying to give those nuggets and that wisdom of what was you know given to me. And I also, finally, I have a responsibility. There are too many people, my grandfather, my parents, my grandparents, and my parents and my coaches growing up playing Little League football. And there was a whole lot of people poured into me.
Okay.
When I got here, Cameron Madison, I was under my late pastor, and Tommy Deutsch and John James Orange and Dr. C.T. Vivian, Dr. Lowry, Miss Rita Samuels, you know, Henrietta Antonini. I'm dropping names that some of you might know and some of you don't know. There's a whole lot of people who invested in me. And the reason why I say I don't have an opportunity, I don't have a choice, because if I don't carry this message on, they invested
Correct.
in the wrong person.
100%. You know, and Hank, you go into something about what I talked about yesterday. Select the people in your space.
Mhm.
Be selective
Mhm.
because surround yourself with people smarter than you. You have to do that. You know, you never increase your intelligence level. But two, you help the ignorance scale go lighter if you surround yourself with people that not only got skills and talent, but are like-minded, that are motivated and have kind of the same passion. I say kind of because it doesn't have to be the exact, but it's going towards growth.
And I think you have to even do that in percentages. So
Correct,
so you can
100%.
say- So if you got 100%, you say maybe I'm going to spend 75% around people who are smarter than me and 30% pouring into somebody else.
100%.
You know,
Yes, sir.
and if
That's
you
right.
do it that way, it actually allows you to receive and you know and pour into
And understand the give back.
and the give back. You know, and so and it might be 50-50. But definitely at some point you need to be around people who are smarter, and you don't have to challenge everything somebody says. You need to be able to grow
100%.
and learn from, you know, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, and that's that ignorance thing
Yeah.
I'm talking about. It's just not knowing.
Yeah. But even a broken clock is right twice a day, meaning that you can learn something from somebody.
That's right.
Even somebody who's wrong most of the time, they might say something. Listen, because they might say something that makes a little bit of sense to you, and it might work.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
and so just having that intellect.
So, you know, I apologize. You know, I know we're kind of relaxing and working at the same time, pouring into the youth, and the youth pouring into us, and understanding, hey, we were young too, and never forget that. And this is Mr. Hank Stewart, co-founder of the Stewart Foundation, and has an excellent program bringing the youth up from what's the ages?
8 to 18.
8 to 18. So think about that. You can be for 10 years part of something that helps you understand etiquette, business, job hunting, how to communicate, how to write, how to teach. And that's profound of the give back, right? So let's say that, and I will give him a hand for staying focused on that and never quitting no matter what, no matter who he's surrounded by or we're surrounded by as teams doing this. I want to say, think about this as you go on your day. This is a call to action. What are we doing? And I say we because I don't like to say you a lot because guess what? I'm on the other side of that finger. See, what are we doing to help grow not only ourselves but our local communities? And think about the local community to me is your household, your family,
First.
yeah, all these things, and then from there it should expand out, right? And always do good. So, that being said, Mr. Stewart, what would you like to close with and let the audience know?
Well, to piggyback on what you just said, you're absolutely correct. I think you have to. I have a 29-year-old son, and for me, it was very important, Mr. Lee, to make sure that I invested in him first. You can't go out here and save everybody else's children and lose your own.
Correct.
So so home. It starts at home first, and then it starts within your family. So it might be your immediate family, your children, but then you got nieces and nephews and cousins, and things that you can pour into, and then you go out into the community and do that. I was in South Africa last year this time. Matter of fact, last year this day I was in Joburg, and I went to the Cape Town, Joburg, and one of the things that I said quite often to them, it's our time, it's our turn, but if we don't do our part, it's our fault.
Correct.
It's our time, it's our turn. If we don't do our part, it's our fault. And so that's where we are, and that's to all the people that's listening. That's you and I having this conversation. Dr. King and Rosa Parks and Shirley Chisholm and Fannie Lou Hamer and all of them did it when it was their time. They stood up, they took the beatings, they did everything they were supposed to do when it was their time. It's our time now, and it's our turn, but if we don't do our part, it's our fault. So training young people, standing up for right, showing up at county commissioner meetings, school board meetings. We're getting ready to we're going to talk to some kids today about another program we're getting ready to do and take our youth down to the Capitol so they understand the political process and how it works. So it's our time to pour as much as we can into young people. So it's our time, it's our turn. We don't do our part, it's our fault.
Okay. Now remember, everybody, it's the little things that count in this. If you do the smallest thing, I would say start out with constructive conversations. And that right there will start that fire ignited, and it'll make that intelligence side of the scale go heavy. And, low is good. Heavy, and lighten up that ignorant side. And you'll make a difference, even if it's just in your space. Thank you for tuning in to Constructive Talks. Hey, thank you, Mr. Stewart, for hanging out with me. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody, the information in the description below. We here at this youth retreat doing some good mentoring and getting mentored. So thank you for tuning in. All right, hey, go to thestuartfoundation.com. How did they get there, sir?
TheStewartFoundation.com. You can go there from Facebook, Twitter, I think we have, Instagram, and then you can also find us on any social media and just the World Wide Web. So
I'm going to put it in the description below. Hey, thank you for hanging out with us, and I appreciate it.
Thanks. Peace.
Pause.